The Daddy-O. Is that the Daddy-O salute?
You're the one doing
just
it.
like, I don't know if that's anything, or like looks like it's horns. Like
Maybe.
evil Daddy-O. Like
Maybe.
Bizarro Daddy-O. Would that be a daddy that's not like good? That's not like...
A lot of them out in the world.
A lot of them daddies out in the world. And this is what I was going to say. I think it should, today's episode without a guest should. I mean, already people are pissed. People are rioting in the streets about there being no guest. Ricky and Glenn are way more interesting when there's a third in there.
We got another white guy lined up for you next week.
They're like, look, I like it when it's the 2 against 1. Ricky and Glenn fight like a married couple.
When Glenn brings a friend on and is mean to that friend for no reason.
I have nothing but... Do you think that's why he left? Do you think that's why Patrick left early?
No, it's because I forgot to tell him that we talked for so goddamn long. And I think he probably just expected. He's like, oh, probably like 40 minutes, maybe an hour max. And I was like, oh,
not these narcissists.
Sorry, dog, I forgot. I kept meaning to, but I done forgot it.
I was also good with like having just like a gentle 1 hour and a half
for all of this
conversation.
Bullshit, that's fine too.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're saying you and I, we have to continue. That's our curse. But they, so if they have to drop out of the episode, we shouldn't just make a nice hour long episode. We should
Tonight Show style it. Like bring people on for like 5 minutes and then have them slide down their couch.
That I don't think I've ever heard that on a podcast.
They're out there. Like Comedy Bang Bang does essentially.
But that's fake.
Yeah.
So it's. Yeah,
I mean, we talked about it before we started recording. The big reason to not have a guest is then you don't have to coordinate with a third person. Just the one.
I thought it was funny the way you brought that up, as if like those guests were like very carefully curated. It was more just like, hey, are you free at this ridiculous time in the morning in the middle of the week? And I knew they were promoting things. They were promoting.
Both of the homies, Nick Bruce, Patrick Holbert, putting on social media like, hey, I have a thing I want to talk about. Can I come on a podcast? So I reached out. I was like, come on, Daddy-O. And then they both did.
You didn't vet them what that thing was beforehand? Like, what if they came on? They're like, I'm starting.
They listened from day one since we're friends, Patrick and Nicholas. No, I mean, I subscribe to all of my friends' podcasts. If you have a podcast, trust me, I'm downloading it. Not gonna lie, I'm not.
Unless he gives you a reason to be blocked.
I'm not. For sure. Well, because there's like day and date listens for me of.
I used to be that way. The older I get, I've moved away more from opinion generate, like, because obviously podcasts are opinion generators, where you're just constantly talking.
What podcast are you listening to?
All of them, sir. There's an opinion. How many podcasts do you listen to where the hosts aren't, and they don't have a strong opinion about the thing that they are talking about or the topics that come up?
I mean, that's more like.
I'm even talking like comedy. It's like even if they're watching a movie, or if they're like, so if say it's like a How Did This Get Made, which I used to be more of a regular, but now I'm kind of I look and see what the movie is and what my time is like. I don't have any straight listen tos anymore. I listened to since his working overtime, David Cross the other day, Rachel Feinstein episode, and Tim Meadows episode, but the Rachel Feinstein one was because it just immediately played after the Tim Meadows one. And the Tim Meadows one, I was just like, oh, this might be interesting because these are two guys who've been in the comedy world for a very long time. I bet you they have some overlap that I am unaware of.
Yeah.
But what are your straight up lists like?
So my brother and me is one that used to come out. Like I try to schedule this so it comes out first thing like 12:01 a.m. on Fridays, but then like last time we had a upload problem, so it came out later that day. But the goal is if people want to listen to this on Friday, it's there first thing in the morning. Because most of the shows that I listen to do that. So my brother and me comes out on Mondays. It used to just be like when I'd wake up, it's there in the app. But then they moved it back and they've been posting it around noon. And that drives me crazy because I like to listen to it while I go grocery shopping on Mondays. So if I have to wait until noon to go grocery shopping. Then I'm like under the gun to get the shopping done before I have to go get my kids from school. And it is such like a specific problem to me. That's like, I would be an insane person to like email them and be like, guys, can you just bump this up? Like, even if you made it 11 a.m., you would change my whole week.
Do you ever re-listen to episodes you've listened to before?
No.
Okay. So you're not that kind of listener.
No.
Like what about any interview shows? Like if someone's been on Peter Weller being on WTF, you'll listen to that once and you'll be good.
That one I might dip back into. I mean, there's probably examples of like a specific interview where it's like, oh yeah, if somebody did a podcast and I'm like, because I will frequently
that you've appeared on, you'll be like, I'll re-listen to myself again.
If you've interviewed me on your podcast, trust me, I'm listening 10 times minimum, baby.
I listened to you on the Tyrant podcast. I listened to that episode before
you on the Tyrant podcast.
We talk about Glenn a lot.
We'll be listening, or we'll be talking to Kev from Tyrant and Training next week, I believe.
Oh, and I, as long as he's not forgotten, I might message him. There was a resolve. There was a to be continued.
Okay.
On my episode,
he did text me.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get back to him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm
that's what it's about.
I'm gonna find out what that information is.
Okay.
I don't know when my episode is dropping, so I don't know what his release schedule is, and I'm never one of those people that like, unless I'm promoting something that it's like, hey, could you have it out in the next couple weeks or like inside of this month?
Yeah,
I really don't care.
Like I did a bunch of appearances around the release of World Crime League. Like I hired a PR firm to like help me get on more and bigger shows than I would on my own.
Yeah, they put you on bus ads in St. Pete, Florida. It was interesting.
But it was, everyone's like, oh, well, like we'll make sure we get it out. I was like, oh, you can, but like,
if a PR firm like if used that as an enticement, I'd be in for it. If they're like, look, if they're like part of the budget, and then like bus ads nowhere near me
for the tour. Is it too late?
I think they'd be surprisingly cheaper than what you think they would be.
I look. So years ago, my dad bought a billboard for a show I was doing.
He's the character that they based his true life story in 3 Billboards. That movie with Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No,
sorry. Then that joke is. Well, I mean, it's also an old joke.
I don't know if it's. I know it's got billboards in it, but outside of that,
3 of them. It's got 3 billboards.
Trace.
He only had one. He only had enough money for one.
Yeah, well, cause I was doing a show where it was basically the premise. It's called Pretending to Be on Television with Glenn Tickle. The premise was I was filming a TV show. It was not actually being filmed, but I did not know that. Mm-hmm. So I would it was Tonight Show format. I was Johnny. My friend Pat was Ed McMahon. And then a couple of my friends were like writers, and my friend Jason was the producer. And we would just stage it with like format,
you were doing Larry Sanders.
Yeah.
Live.
We're like monologue, we would do a desk piece. We'd have 2 guests. Sometimes
they'd see behind the scenes. When you cut to commercial, they would see you guys interact, and
we did less of that as it went on. Cause it will be funny if like we really play up how much I think this is being broadcast. And then I don't know if it was just like, I don't like pretending. So I don't like
acting.
Yeah, kind of.
We're trying,
but we were doing that for a while, and my dad got a billboard for it, and then the venue was mad at me because my dad they're like, he should have run that by us. I think he might have paid for a radio spot, if I remember correctly.
Holy crap! Did it help bring anybody to the show?
People came.
But not to the show. Like they were sitting in their own home and they were just like jerking. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like we had a pretty good initial pop. Part of it was we had the worst possible time slot. So it was at Steel Stacks.
Did it say that on the billboard?
Yeah.
Like how they have for shows like it's must-see TV, the best time spots. It's like Glenn Tickle show, worst time slot. It's 11:52 at night.
It might as well have been. So I've talked about this place a lot. I've done a lot of shows there. Last night was my last time.
It seems like you are compiling a list of grievances every time you talk about them now. It seems like you're uncovering things.
Well, they fired my friend a couple weeks ago, which I'm mad about. But then also just comedy is the bottom of their list of things to care about, and it has always been that way. And it has just been my friend Ryan was the one kind of wedging comedy in there, and it was going well. They've had big acts. My best friend Jerry Seinfeld headlined Music Fest one year. They've gotten Gaffigan. It's Gulman was there a couple weeks ago, the night before his Broadway run started, I think. Maybe 2 nights, but that week he dry ran it in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, of all places. And they just don't care if somebody wants to have a children's birthday party in one of the theaters, they will cancel whatever comedy shows in there. It is
because they're a community center that is not for profit.
It's an arts nonprofit. I had a writing job years ago, not Geekosystem, and it was similar. I would write up, there would be an interesting video that my boss would find. He's like, "Can you do a post about this?" And it's literally embedding the YouTube link, writing a couple sentences about it, and he would edit out any jokes that I made in the posts. And he's like, "That's not really what we do." I was like, "Right, but jokes are good and make things better." And he's like, "Right, but people aren't."
Yeah,
coming
we're
a
glorified sharing video clip generator.
Feed, yeah. He's like, well,
"So wait, you're like, you want the soup? You want Talk Soup, but you want Talk Soup with Joel McHale, but you don't want any of the jokes. You just want literally me to just throw up to the clip and write a little why?
And
why did that exist?
I mean, it paid well. It was easy. I'm not mad at the guy. It's just I don't understand.
Right. Yeah. Not mad at him personally.
The site's called Laughing Squid. I worked there for a while.
It's called Laughing Squid, and they didn't want any commentary jokes.
Yeah. He explained where the name came from. It was,
and there was no jokes. There was no jokes in the explanation. When he's it's very dry. He's like, this is where the name Laughing Squid comes from. He's like, it's not funny. It is that name because of the Lefquana fish.
Something like that. It was, a good gig. I had a good time there. They've been good to me since. When I release stuff, they'll do a post about it. Shout out to Scott at Laughing Squid, but it's only
it's very informational.
I will never understand why this man is we're editing out every joke. And I was like, what? Well, one, why hire a comedian to write these if but because I was coming from the Geekosystem job, so I wasn't being hired as a comedian. I was being hired as blogger guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would just trim them out and then be like, you don't need to put jokes in. I was like, I don't. That's the least effort I put into this. Those just happen, man. I don't understand.
I can't help it when these fingers are clickety clacking.
If I'm
music.
writing up, an interesting Mark Rober video or whatever from YouTube that this guy thought was interesting, and I think of a joke, I'd throw it in. I'm not I can't publish this until I think of a great one-liner about this. Star photography.
Ostensibly, what that website is, you would think, trying to breed is that like a VJ. You're like a VJ of these clips or whatever that you are being asked to share, and you're like, okay, if this website is my friend and it's on your phone or on your computer and it's shoved in your face like this, and you're cutting yourself off from social interaction. This website then becomes that basement or lunch table of friends that's like, have you seen this?
Yeah. And it's a very old website for
and if you personally feel connected to say Glenn Tickle, I'd be like, oh, what's Glenn Tickle sharing? Oh, he has this to say about it. Oh man, I feel like I just interacted with my friend.
Yeah. Laughing Squid is very early 90s. It's been around.
I feel like I need to bring this up in another.
Check it out. It's probably all
Laughing.com. It should be based on what you're saying he should just chat GPT.
Yeah. At this point, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised.
Interesting. You were right. It is, even the layout is very old. and very basic.
So when it started, it was kind of novel to have, like, the idea is we will find all the interesting stuff on the internet today and we will share it here so that you don't have to go to 40 different websites because you're on dial-up. You don't have time to load all those pages. But
and they promote that it is a WordPress site since 2004. I've seen so much better. I'm not shitting
so
on
it might be,
Squid. I've seen better WordPress looking layouts.
Yeah, that might have been like when it's switched to where, like, I think
2004
started Laughing Squid way earlier than 2000.
Oh, than that, okay.
But
I think people forget. Here's two middle-aged white men talking how archaic the internet was even in 2004. Yeah, that's when I started college, and we don't even have college Facebook yet. MySpace is just starting.
I was in college and got Facebook when it was like on a college to college basis. Like your college had to sign up for
college
it.
Facebook,
an account.
Sharing like your schedule and stuff. The layout, I mean, anybody can go.
Yeah, check out
to laughingsquid.com.
I'm sure there's interesting things.
.laughingsquid.us is
the only thing he would ask me to write that I thought was like objectionable was he loved, I think he's friends with the guy who founded Improv Everywhere.
Okay. Wow, that's something I haven't heard of in a long time.
Yeah. So they like stage like elaborate pranks or like
flash mob
stuff. Which,
that's how they got big on YouTube, I think, at the again to mention like 2004.
I don't like what they do. But it's not like, it's not offensive is not the right word, it's just like I think it's dumb. So I like
it's just gimmick. So I mean, like that's we can get into it completely.
Like, oh well, Glenn's a comedy guy. This is a comedy thing. So Glenn is the writer I will assign to
the opinion of improv. We will put on hold. Let me say this before you get into the questionable thing. Just the layout. If nobody goes to it, to describe more visually for you, it looks like a Kickstarter layout. Like I went to support to find out, like, oh, okay, because usually your mantra, like what your modus operandi would be on that page. Yeah, and it is very uninteresting. I do love the logo with how the arms are connecting to all these different branches of entertainment that they're then curating for you, kind of how you described. But wow, that is,
I don't think the layout has changed since I worked there. I don't remember.
It is a mess of ads.
Yeah, but again, I mean, good on you, Laughing Squid. Wish you all the best.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if they're hiring.
So Improv Everywhere is to me yucky. I don't like what they do. They're like, oh yeah, like we just sent 400 people into the park and then we just started like doing a loud thing, or like they're the ones who do like the naked subway ride or pantsless or whatever.
You can call yourself improv whatever, and you can do many different facets of within the creative arts of comedy, for the most part is where it falls under. But when you're called Improv Everywhere and everything that you're doing is overly curated and overly rehearsed and like overly organized, which is the exact antithesis of improv. Yes. And it's not improv. Like it is
so much of what
a choreographed movement.
You're
just basically a peaceful protest of people. It's a peaceful protest of other people wanting to be by themselves and have things quiet and easier.
If it was a protest, right? If they had like a point they were trying to get across.
They're protesting being cool. Like with their idea of uncool. Because like, all right, in New York City, or any city, any bigger city, that like you're walking, like people speed walk in big cities. Like there is no leisurely walking.
If you make it harder for me to get around, you're not
the lights game, the crosswalks.
You're annoying.
You're annoying. And so I can't even imagine being someone who's like busting my hump, running late, grabbing a coffee, doing like one thing for myself, and then I'm going to cross the street and a bunch of these assholes break out and like kabuki masks or whatever, And it's just like, what the fuck is this?
Right. That's not fun for me.
Yeah, for anyone. It's fun for a clip thing for someone who didn't have to be put out by that to watch that online and be like, oh, this is interesting for like 100 people to put on kabuki masks in the middle of Times Square right now.
One thing they did years ago that I genuinely like, I believe they apologized for, was they're like, oh,
we're sorry.
You know what would be funny? So there's a small band. They don't really have, like, they're pretty new. They don't have a big following. What if we bought 200 tickets? We're going to sell out one of their shows. We're going to send people. We're going to like all listen to their album. We're going to like learn all the words. We're going to sing along. And
so this is fucking Truman Show. And if the band has no idea, it's like, holy shit, we've got this is when it happens. People love, like, for me, like anytime anybody says they listen, like they send me a
but the
picture.
Band did not love it.
I know. No, that's what I'm saying is when you are an actual organic artist and like someone sends you a picture while they're driving of like the Sirius XM track that comes up and they're just like, holy shit, I'm listening to a comedy channel and you popped up. I am floored. Like it is crazy to me. It's like a genie wish, like seeing stuff like that. I appreciate that. But like if you're a band and you didn't pay a PR firm to do this,
right,
which it almost sounds like this is something a PR firm would do for like cool like press, I can't even imagine how fucking angry or even heartbroken, but maybe heartbroken first and then angry.
Right. I'm like, I believe there's an episode of This American Life about it where they talk to like the band. And yeah, like they didn't have a big following. So like they might be on a bill with a few other bands, you know, maybe the crowd's half full, but like it's a mix of, you know, the 20 people that are there to see them. And then like a couple, every band brings like a few fans, whatever. But
a lot of girlfriends, a lot of friends of
like,
girlfriends.
No, we're gonna pack this place out with fans of this band, and during the show that probably felt great. They're probably like, what happened? Like, oh, did like a radio station like actually play the single? Like, and then at the end of it, they're just like, oh, haha, like, wasn't this fun to like? And they're like, well, no. So like you're saying that was all, like, we don't have like people don't like it's like sucks.
I really like the show Jury Duty
thing that they did,
Jury Duty, where they're all actors.
People keep telling me it is not that, but it
is that no. They are lucky the social experiment Ronald, the guy that they got, and then at the end, like they knew that what they were doing, because then they tried to make it like you won the award of an amazing human being, and for that we're giving you $100,000 or whatever, because you prize for being a great human, and you've shown that time and time. Like they sold it to him as if like, way to win the social experiment. You're like, no, this is the way that you sell it to this dude after all of his fucking trust issues.
He was pretty magnanimous about it.
Yeah, he was a good dude. They got lucky. Yeah, they got real lucky that he was a cool dude. And then also having like James Marsden, like having a celebrity. So then it's almost like, but see, now you are like, you acted with James Marsden. Like you're part of the cool, like they did everything.
I will probably never watch it.
I don't think you would. I think you would not like the yucky feeling of, again, trust. Like that's if I was in that band, I would be like, I don't know how I can trust anything now.
For the tour, right? If they're like,
for the Daddy-O tour, do it.
Selling out.
Please sell it. We need the press.
we're going to fill the Emmaus Theater on May 18th with people who have never heard of Glenn and Ricky.
7:00.
We're just going to like convince them to go and act like they're having the time of their lives. And then the next time we do a show and then that doesn't happen, it's like, well, what the hell? Like now.
I mean, that's also just, I think, our shows, right? Like
part of it too, like
that's
I've sold out shows, you know, and it's like
I've done it. I'll do it again
now. But sometimes it's in weird places, like Ashland, Wisconsin.
I've never
filled a small theater. I'm like, I've never been here. This is my first show in Wisconsin. Why are there 100 people in this room who know my name?
Us texting back and forth about promo stuff. Oh, okay. So similar thing. I've had there's a
we should go to Ashland, Wisconsin.
Well, I was going to say La Crosse, Wisconsin, except for now this story. It's just also the economy right now. Anyway,
why did something bad happen?
Yeah.
Did somebody make horrible policy decisions?
Yeah. Tariffs. You got tariffs
to riff these nuts, idiot.
to riff on these nuts. But so La Crosse, Wisconsin, I had done it's a big theater with a black box theater in there, in this like community theater center or whatever in the middle of their downtown. And I had done it 2 other times where all of the shows in the black box theater, which held about 150 people, sold out. And we did 2 shows each time over different spanning years, not consecutive. And then we were supposed to do one, and I would have thought of them for Daddy-O. Maybe I will next year, to see if they've bounced back. But I was doing one in the fall, which should be prime time, like right before fall, winter. People are going in and seeing shows, and we had to cancel because we just weren't selling any tickets. So even then, like, I don't know what to do as far as marketing to get the word out there, like social media posts, clip posts, like sponsored posts for specific areas.
Probable future guest, Tom Britton is a sideshow act, essentially. He does a show called Freak Show and Tell, where he explains how, like, he will walk on glass and kind of like explain the science, and like he does stuff with a Tesla coil, and in like the way that Penn and Teller will explain a magic trick while they're doing it, but are doing it so well that it's still genuinely impressive. He does that, where it's like he will do stuff where it's like, the human blockhead is not a trick. I am hammering a nail into my face. The reason it works is because like your sinuses aren't where people think they are. Like there's a big hole, there's a big empty space behind your nose. So if you practice a little bit, you get the angle right, you're not do any damage. If you mess it up, you will die. And he is a great performer, and so it's weird because he's funny, right? But like he is not doing stand-up. But so much of what I learned about producing, more than like the actual performance stuff, although he is a very good performer, is like I got from him. Of like, he is a P.T. Barnum character who is not a piece of shit like P.T. Barnum was.
As far as we know, future guest,
right? That's, I mean, there's
we all are possible.
So like Madeline Murphy's going to come on the show. She's got a special coming out in, I forget when, but
how did her experience with Comedy Dynamics go?
We'll talk about it when she comes on. I'm sure.
I didn't know if she gave you like a heads up of just
I talked to her a little bit before to be like, hey, go get him, Tiger. But I haven't.
While you're wearing your Mary Jane Watson wig and sweater.
I haven't talked to her much since, except for I was like, oh, do you have a release date? Like, do you want to time you coming on the show around that? So she's gonna do that. But when I
were you chomping on a cigar like J. Jonah Jameson? You're like, we gotta book you out. I need to know dates, kid. Daddy-O's booking up fast.
You can come on whenever you want. But
we'll slide down the couch.
It'll make sense to do it around the release of your special. You can come on now, and then again when your special comes out, Madeline.
All the time.
Come on whenever. But I told her, I was like, because I've known her for a long time.
Oh, we just got a call in. It's Madeline.
But she doesn't know you. So it's like, oh yeah, like I promise Ricky's not a secret creep. And then she's like, oh, haha. And
she knows me
a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Have you guys done shows together?
I thought did we not do a show?
Oh, you did a virtual show together with
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So like
So I was gonna say, I felt like we had just like a quick like when you're in the green room thing on the virtual show before you like do the performance, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought we had
forgot about that.
Some sort of interaction, because that was right around when you produced her album, right? Yeah.
But I thought, I was like, oh, like Ricky's not a secret creep, and then I'm like, I think
he is on Front Street.
It's like
he bought a billboard that said "not a secret creep."
Yeah. There's such like a weird asterisk with people now, where it's like, well, I don't think the skeletons in that closet are going to be that dramatic,
No, they'll be Spirit Halloween like skeletons in the closet, because we're kind of hoarders too. Or
so
also
just know I'm out there giving.
Thanks. You're not giving your full. It doesn't sound like a full endorsement, like partial,
but with an
just enough to win. Yeah.
Well, it's like, I don't think like, because if I thought you were a monster, I wouldn't want to do this or any live shows with you.
So, okay, do you know the documentary Paris is Burning?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know Dorian Corey, who is one of the central focuses?
I watched it in college.
I'll explain for anybody who also listening. It's a documentary done in the 80s about the drag ball scene in New York City. And just basically, if you're a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, if you're a fan of drag in general, it's a fascinating documentary done in the time of the height of the AIDS epidemic in New York City.
It was I think it was a Netflix show about that time,
and that was,
remember what it was called.
And I'm blanking. Billy Porter is in it, and they actually had some.
My wife watched all of it, and she's right behind me. What's the Billy Porter show that you watched? Pose.
Yes, yes, and actually had some of the first leading characters played by trans actors for Pose when it came on. God, that might have been pre-COVID when it first started.
Yeah,
and then it was one of those.
I know my wife watched it.
Yeah,
so I saw a couple episodes, but I know like it was that. That's why I was like, oh,
it's that scene. That's why it's familiar. There's a look.
Paris is burning, essentially.
But yeah, essentially. But specifically,
I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just just this story,
in the way that I have to make anything that I see, be like, oh, this is like this other thing that I'm like. That's.
Well, I think that is the number one way criticism should be done. And I think that is a language that you develop as shorthand.
Yeah,
especially amongst creatives.
It's makes it easier. I mean, again, to make a comparison, like Abed in Community.
Yeah.
He's pretty upfront in a couple episodes. He's like, oh, like I recognize things as being like a thing in a TV show or a movie so that I can understand it, because I understand TV and movies and I don't understand you guys. And it's like, man, that alone should have been like, yeah, you probably like they fall short of like actually diagnosing him with anything in the show, but it's like,
because they also want to keep that foot in the heightened sitcom world too. And if you get too serious about
they're like, well, it is like genuinely unclear what this is.
Also, Dan Harmon, I don't think had been diagnosed yet.
Not when Community started.
And he has 100% forefront of just being like, so turns out he's like, I can go back and watch my own things and be like, I think that guy was a little autistic and had anxiety and depression. And like, he's been great talking about it. Anyway, Paris is Burning.
Yes,
fascinating, just small piece. This connects to Secret Creep. Is Dorian Corey a larger queen, one of who would be considered a mother in the scene of New York City during this documentary, who had been doing drag since like the late 50s, early 60s, very open about the shift and the acceptance that had come to that point, even this AIDS culture of drag queens as a popular icon, because like they'd started appearing on talk shows and stuff. Fascinating performer. A seamstress, made costumes for all these different drag queens. Within the documentary, they film her in 2 different locations during the duration of like the 6 months that they film these queens. And you see in her second interview segments that it's a different location, but she has dressed it up with similar things that appeared in her first setup. I mention all this to say that when she died, when Dorian Corey passed away, she passed away in that second apartment not too long, a few years after they filmed. The queens came to clean it out, also to get costumes, because Dorian had left a list of like, when I go, this is yours, this, please come get this, you deserve this. When they were cleaning it out, they opened up the closet door that was in frame during their setup, during those interviews for that second apartment. And they opened it, and there was a large trunk standing up, filling up the entire closet. They lowered down the large, very heavy trunk, opened it, and was a mummified body.
Oh no. Was this was not in the documentary, right?
No, this was found out much later. But what's great is then you go back and there is a closet door. And so different queens had talked about being over there and being like, yeah, we knew, we just never knew what was in it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bequeathed to anybody when we came in to clean out the place. and because her shit, just wouldn't be thrown away by the landlord or whatever. But they're like, that closet that she had in the first apartment that she moved from, they're like, we helped her move. And so we knew what closet it was in. Yeah. We carried like a funeral, carried a coffin. And so they found out, forensics did different matches, and it turns out it was this Hispanic guy who went missing at this certain date, and it's unclear from interviews because it goes back like to the early 60s, mid 60s. Like, well, did you know Dorian at that time? Yeah, she was performing at this, but like very Law and Order, but like cold case, but it wasn't really a cold case. Was different people said, I think Dorian was living with this handyman, like jack of all trades Hispanic guy, and they're like a secret relationship. And like different people are like, yeah, I heard he actually had a family and he would drive in from New Jersey. And then other people would be like, oh, I heard that Dorian, there was a break-in one night and she accidentally killed this guy who broke in to steal. And she knew if she went to the police and said it was self-defense, she'd be thrown in prison for the rest of her life.
Right.
So she just hid the body, and like that's what I heard. And like there's this Rashomon of like this body. And so Secret Creep, now you go back and watch Paris is Burning, and every interview with Dorian Corey, there's a prominent closet door behind her. There's a body. There's a mummy beyond what you can see of a door. So yes, we all could be secret creeps. I don't know what
you're
you got.
Saying is there's a body behind your Halloween 2 poster back there.
There's a body in the attic right now called Swingin' Gene that we used for our musical Babysitter Massacre 78, the musical in Chicago, and it is a full length, like tied and bound up, like bloody body.
Well, that was
that would swing on set. Anna has gone to the room and has like opened up the box. She's like, "What's this?" And we're like, "No, it's your future."
So again, likely future guest Michael Kent does the podcast. The internet says it's true, and I think he did an episode on this. I think it was in one of the Ripley's museums where there's just like, oh yeah, like we'll put this like fake mummy out front, and then they realized years and years later that like no, that's a real dead guy, and they like tried to do the forensics on like who's this dude, and then I think they figured it out.
Who does dude be?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, like it'll be like a fun little decoration. We'll put this like fake mummy out, and they're like, no, that's a real mummy.
I'm pretty sure that is. I could be wildly. This could be wildly incorrect, and I am known to do that.
Nah.
Yeah, make just wild, baseless claims, and if nobody challenges me, then they're fact now. It's a cool thing to do. It's a cool superpower.
Cool. All the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah, everybody, all the Republicans are doing it. Fart. So side story, we were driving home yesterday and Landslide came on. We had picked up the boys because my daughter Anna is on spring break as my wife is Allie because they go to the same school.
Are they in the same
grade? No, my wife teaches the kids with IEPs.
The joke is that she is also in elementary school.
Oh, sorry. I was just describing her job of what she does there.
I know she's not also sick.
She's not Billy Madison it.
I brought that up with my kid today because
Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Like hypothetical.
I was bringing my youngest to school. She's in first grade. And I was like, "Hey, do you think I could like come to school with you now and just like be in your class?" And she's like, "No, you're too old." I was like, "Well, no, but like, what if I had to do school all over again?" And I just like start.
What you're like? What you start pitching her Billy Madison? She's like, "That seems absurd, and no one will enjoy that."
And I started telling her about the movie, and I was like, "Oh, there's this movie that Daddy really likes." She's
that
like,
you can't see.
It? And I was like,
"No,
nah."
I mean, look,
I'm
honestly,
pretty permissive about what the kids watch, but honestly, 6 is a little young for Billy Madison.
There's nothing that comes to mind. Because that is one of those movies, again, shorthand, where like Wayne's World quotes, Tommy Boy quotes, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. When you have certain friends that you've done those quotes with for so long, like Ace Ventura, you no longer do the voice. You no longer try to sell it as an impression. Yeah. You just say a quote from it.
Shorthand for
matter of fact, because like one of them is a gun rack. You bought me a gun rack. I don't even own a gun. much less miniguns that would necessitate a gun rack. Like, we will just say lines from movies and we'll just be like, yep, Wayne's World. Excellent. That is, I think, a Billy Madison one. I can't think of anything in it like that is for a child.
Too horny for Veronica Vaughn.
Yes,
for
that is
me
true.
to want to watch it with my sister. She might
but
like
also
the Penguin.
Horny for the Maid too, and Chris Farley.
Yeah. I mean, it's been.
I guess Jugs magazines, like the old Spunkers or whatever.
There's like shots of porn in it.
But like, I really love the message of when he's with the elementary school kids and like they go in the field, because that's the most the
where
movie.
he pees his pants.
Yeah, the kindergarten and
element. Consider me Miles Davis.
And like how he helps those like that kid out, and like it's anti-bullying.
I like Billy Madison
like
a lot.
The bullies,
6-year-old to watch it.
The bullies die, like, which is great. Like a lineage of bullies, which is fantastic.
Go off the cliff.
Yeah.
Hey Ricky, shut up for a second.
Here they come, walking down the street. They get the funniest laughs from all the people they meet. Hey, hey, they're the daddiest. People say they daddy-o around. They're too busy joking to put anybody down. They're just trying to do comedy, come to laugh and sing and play. They're the dad generation, and they got something to say. Hey, hey, they're the daddiest.
Daddiest.
You never know where they'll be found, so you better get ready. They may be coming to your town.
You can turn. That's Oh,
that's
I was
my
thinking.
Thing.
I thought you were going to do a nice fade, but you're just like, it's off.
I slid it down.
Did you? Okay.
The robot's doing the thing that I was worried that like people were going to rhyme it with adios.
Yes. Which I think it's funny. It doesn't always do that. So that was
got it right a couple times.
Oh well, because those were.
Robot.
I change it based on how I think it's going to pronounce it. So I either do DADDYOH, where you have to phonetically.
I used to have to do that with Mr. Toybato to get him to like pronounce words correctly.
Yes, correctly, and not be like a stupid robot.
Yeah. Like, I write them out phonetically.
Reprimand the robot. I have to do this because you're stupid, robot.
If like the Toybato bits on my first album, if you go back and listen, so that's not him writing the jokes. That is just like me doing
pre-programmed
text to speech recording it. I did make it the app that I was controlling him with.
I mean, that's awesome.
But it was,
you could have, if only you'd have stuck with that, and that had been your whole shtick of like your Darcy Lynn or whatever, like it's your version of a puppet. Like it had just been Glenn and Mr. Toybato. You fucking know that would have been a Saturday morning cartoon.
I would take that. I would take that deal in a second. Are you kidding?
So lean into it. Just try it for 1 year.
For 1 year. I did the bit for way longer than a year.
No. Bit. Fuck bits.
But I'm not.
Commitment.
Yeah, no.
Glenn and Mr. And you wear the bow tie outfit and like, hello children, I'm Glenn and this is Mr. Toybato. I know.
College that like I was told would love
wrong
it,
audience. Wrong
No.
audience. You are going to schools. You're going to elementary schools.
Got 1 million views on TikTok. Like people love that little guy.
We can update. You were like, I don't know. I guess I could do Mr. Toybato. Or I said, I was like, do you think you could have? I don't remember how that came to be.
Well, I think it was because the 1 week. So Pupdate we've talked about before was like the puppet news show you were doing during the pandemic that I was writing stuff for, and
killer stuff.
When I do like late night stuff, I will, because I worked as a blogger and like part of my job was find an interesting story that's not already on 400 other websites. I will do that for like, what do I not do?
And not, this isn't to slam like Jay Leno. It's just when they all have shows on that night and they are ostensibly the top 10 subjects that we've all heard of that happened today or yesterday or whatever. You've got 6 white dudes at the time. I mean, still now.
Heavily in the camp of people are too mean to Jay Leno.
100
of everybody that I shit on this show. Genuinely,
that is why.
Not that he doesn't deserve
I am saying this
criticism, but the
only criticism
that people are like, oh, I fucking hate that. I hope that I'm glad that guy caught off. Like
the only not the accident stuff. Like I would never be like in that a voodoo doll situation. Like you finally got it. Oh yeah, Jalen, fucking hell yeah.
Like if
weirdly not a daddy.
Yeah, but you don't have to have children to be a daddy. I think we established
that's
early
true.
On.
Yeah. And you don't have to be a male.
I mean, we established that with first guest Nick Bruce doesn't have kids that he knows of. He and I fathered
what an old fucking joke that like it's not funny,
right?
But like I feel like I've heard
American Summer thing of like we know this is a dumb bad joke, so it's funny that we're making it anyway.
I like the evolution of that for that. Yeah.
What was I talking about before?
You don't need to be a daddy to be a daddy-o.
Yeah, but why did we say that?
Oh no, we've opened so many tabs.
We've crossed the event horizon. There's no coming back. Oh well.
Oh, I was gonna say the making something serious. This is going way back. Mm-hmm. Something serious and really taking the piss out of it is we picked up our twin boys yesterday, and the song "Landslide" came on. And Gus is pretty talkative, babbling right now, and was making some noises. But then Landslide came on, and they just both got quiet back there. And my wife is just like, "Oh, I love this song." Like her and her mom went and saw Stevie Nicks or something and live, like before she went off to college or something, whatever. And I'm just like, yeah.
Hang on. Your wife's a white lady who really
loves Fleetwood Mac.
Landslide. Really?
Yeah.
You found one?
Yeah. I found one.
That's like when people find out that I really like Kevin Smith movies. They're like, yeah.
Man, you're like, I thought you were Kevin Smith. Like you're just saying you like your own things.
You're a 41-year-old man from New Jersey. Yeah, we figured.
Do you like The Boss? Do you like Springsteen?
Nope.
I don't either.
I don't. It's
there's nothing against it.
Not liking something and disliking,
it just not being your cup of tea. That's same here.
It's never done it. It's never moved the needle on me.
I have tried. I've listened to The River and being like, okay, what are maybe some like if someone's like, how do I get into Billy Joel? I'd be like, well, I have some questions for you because each album is its own like.
If you want to get into Billy Joel,
attack on a genre,
you book a show with my friend Jay Black, where you have to drive across the whole state of Pennsylvania together, and he will play 3 hours of his favorite Billy Joel songs and explain to you the whole time
to why it's like, them. Oh, that's fascinating. That's a podcast.
Like I would,
I would. There is just so but anyway, it's like one of those artists. Like I've tried Springsteen and I just can't, like it doesn't connect. I don't know what it is. I usually can find an entry point for most artists. Like obviously not like one of the biggest Britney Spears fans, but there's like some songs that are still like toxic. I love how it was the score was rearranged for what is the name of that movie by the woman who wrote and directed Saltburn?
No idea.
Oh fuck.
But the app I use to learn piano has Oops, I Did It Again as one of the songs, and I'm like, fun to play on the piano, honestly.
I mean, it's probably like a pretty like simple, fun chord progression.
Yeah,
that's why it works. That's why they're earworms.
I'm not gonna I don't have the song on a playlist, but it's like, it's a song I've heard 40,000 times because of I was in high school when it came out. But
in support of Jay Leno, what I was going to say,
that's what I was talking about.
You said not shitting on him. That's why I was prefacing this is I think he gets too much crap for when he also was having to do the same. Like he talks about it. He's like, we had to make the Clinton jokes. We had to do this. We had to do this. And he's just like, in my audience, the Johnny Carson audience did not want the dirtiest version of that. They wanted, this. He's like, which I was happy to give them.
Also, it's ABC in the 90s. Like, what do you...
NBC
right.
in the 90s. Yeah. No, yeah. It's again, it's Carson to Leno and Letterman. They all are doing the same thing, but that's what I loved about the what you were talking about, how you would look up articles, is because it was this weird little thing that was once a week and didn't need to be uber topical. No one was submitting news story. Like, I never had any of this problem where it was either you or Lucas Arnold or Surya Mathis. Nobody sent the same thing. Like, no one submitted like any of the same jokes on any of the same subjects. Like, I was getting defund the police. Yeah.
Even the times I've done packets for stuff, it's like, well, I will stand out. I'm sure they're going to get 40,000 packets that are all pretty funny. I will stand out by bringing, like, here's stories that I guarantee you are not getting joked about in these other packets.
Yeah.
And it came from, like, my background at Ecosystem of, like, like, we got traffic by finding something interesting that wasn't already on The Verge or Polygon or whatever. And so it's like, when we're doing Pup Date, it's like, oh, I will find, weird science stories. And then, like, some of them were, like, robot related. It's like, well, I have a bit with a robot. I'll just make the robot do the bit. So I think that was his, besides being on the first album, that was the other, like, main thing that I did with him.
Mr. Toybado's Day in the Sun.
Yeah.
Glenn and Mr. Toybado, though, I think if you just brought it down to the singularity of this, like, thing that you're making, like, you're this package, and you can't be dirty, you got to be clean.
I already am that, but I don't want to make a robot talk for an hour. It's boring. Doing it, the process of making that work takes a long time and sucks, but it's probably, like, it would be so much faster now. I'm sure I can get.
No, I'm off stage with a microphone.
Well, that's
and
the
it's
thing,
a lie, and I'm talking as Mr. Toybado.
Right, that would work better, but I don't know. It's maybe we'll try it. We'll bring him on the tour. Well, because he started because it's genuinely, like, my kid's toy, and when she was a baby and I would have to go on the road, I would bring him because it's like, oh, I miss my kid, I'll bring one of her toys.
I miss my kid, I'll take one of her toys that she might also really would like to have because she misses dad.
I saw it when we were doing the baby registry stuff. He was just, like, by the counter at Toys R Us when we had the gun, and I was like, oh yeah, this boop. And I was like, this is for me as much as anybody. But
which is what you do. Like, I bought Anna before she was even born a Fozzie Bear from the newer Muppet Babies that did the theme song, told some jokes, and the reason why I got it, I was just like, oh, one, I love Muppet Babies. I hadn't watched the new one yet that this toy was manufactured for, but I was like, oh, I'm going to be leaving and doing shows. She'll have Fozzie Bear, who is a comedian.
Yeah. Oh, I'm basically Fozzie Bear.
I'm Fozzie Bear. Yeah, like,
remember me
so.
Fondly.
Yeah, and, like, so hear this. She'll always have this, and I got that before she was even born. And then she ended up liking the new Muppet Babies on Disney Plus, which I did as well. I think it was amazing.
It was pretty good. My kids don't get super into it, but they would put it on sometimes.
Did you watch the series finale?
I didn't watch all of it. No.
Oh my gosh!
Did they all go through puberty?
Yes. I mean, yes, in a metaphorical way. Like, the series finale happened, and I didn't know that it was ending. So we're watching it in real time now, caught up, because there was some break for COVID and stuff, and animation takes some time depending on what it is.
I know it.
The final season came out, and we didn't know it was the final season, and then it came up part 1 of 2 of, like, the last episode, and it was them putting on an episode of The Muppet Show, but in the backyard.
Nice.
And even down to the theme song,
Mm-hmm.
even down to Waldorf and Statler, their apartment is there looking over
I
the
like
backyard.
that convention. I don't think that was. I don't remember that from the original cartoon, but like
No.
the new one, like Statler and Waldorf are just their next door neighbors, and they sit up on their balcony like
it's amazing,
shouting insults at children. It's so good.
And they are just kind of like the two old gay men. They are the Bert and Ernie of the Muppet Babies.
They are. It's weird because like they're not as mean as they are in the Muppet Show, but it's still,
highly supportive. There's multiple episodes that they are the main characters of Fozzie doesn't have a grandpa, and so they get to play as their I mean, there is some heavy shit.
Is so funny to me.
Fozzie doesn't have a grandpa, like that's a kid's book, and like where he's sad looking, and it's just. But that is the episode.
Me neither, Fozzie.
Everybody loses their grandpa at some time, at some point.
I had to take a line out of Good Grief because it made I was too worried that like my parents and in-laws would see it, but I referred to grandparents as practice deaths, and
that's awesome.
I mean, because like statistically, right? Like
should
for a lot of
it should
people,
yeah.
It happens when you're pretty young, so like that's like that's your intro into the thought that like not everybody's gonna be around forever.
And then like, pets are also that too.
Yeah.
Weirdly,
that would make me sadder.
Oh yeah, like a family dog that like there's pictures of you.
Well,
as like a baby
my dog
with...
Elvis was alive when I did Good Grief, and he is not now. And it's
he would have been
like,
in Good Grief. You think?
I did jokes about like I thought of jokes after he died. I talk about it on Crime League a little bit, and it's like I cannot do another one of these about a dog after doing one about my brother. I will limit it to like one track.
Good Grief Part 2. Woof woof. Yeah. Good night.
And it I mean it's the joke in I think I say it in the thing of like because we have the rabbit now. Like I talk about that because we got the rabbit pretty shortly after Elvis died because my daughter had wanted one for a long time, and it's like I don't think Elvis would have eaten a rat, but he would have he would not stop staring. He was a pointer. Like that's
it would have been not cool to introduce when this dog is in his final years.
It would have been so stressful for both of them, probably.
Yes.
So like the first thing she said after I told her, she's like, "Does that mean I can get a rabbit now?" And it's like, you got to give that. Like I knew him longer than I know you. Like that. Like you're my daughter. I love you, but he outranked you. Just so you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't. I did the joke about him eating all the Lucky Charms that I thought of, and then it's like I do not want this to be my brand. Like that's part of the reason I did Good Grief as a separate thing, and then ended it with regular jokes. Is like I don't want to.
It's the
turn
grief
this
comic.
Into a thing, you know. Like this is done now. But then when the dog, I thought about jokes about it. It's like God. But I was opening for Raymond the Amish comic. Whose name explains the act basically. He is a local, I'll say local celebrity. Like he fills rooms around the Lehigh Valley.
Of course he does with a name like that.
Cat. I've worked with this cat a number of times over the years. Saw him New Year's Eve, didn't remember me. Like we had never met, despite having met 6 times easily and worked together for all of I don't expect him to like remember me well, but when I was like, oh yeah, no, we've done shows together, man. A little recognition would have been nice, Raymond. But
I mean, Raymond the Amish comic.
I've worked with him a couple times as his opener, and his audience hates me. And at first I thought it's like, well, it's like trying to do comedy before a band. The fans don't want comedy before the band. They just want the band to come out. They will like maybe
and they want the band to open
band.
with a song they know. Yes. Like if a band were to open their show with a new like later in the show song, even that would turn like there are expectations. I don't want to hear like it's wild to me that when comics would talk about being like I would like Seinfeld, your favorite comedy and a human being and person. Yeah.
Good dude. Just a good
top T to B
hardworking man.
He would open for like Diana Ross.
Yeah.
Like it's I'm like, why? Like, no one wants, or like, I think he talked about opening for Kenny Rogers one time. So he's like, just imagine Kenny Rogers' audience, and then out comes this like 22-year-old Jew, a New York Jew. And
Well,
like,
that's like Steve Martin in Born Standing Up talks. I think he was opening for Anne Margaret when he met Elvis.
yeah.
And yeah, so like opening for Raymond, like people want to see him. Like his audience is very loyal and specific, is what I've come to learn over the years. Of like, they don't love comedy, they love this guy,
Raymond the Amish comic.
They love, isn't it hilarious that there's an Amish man who's doing comedy and he's so filthy? That's what they love. So when I go up and I am not that at all, they're like, no. So I was opening for him one night. And
do you think you'd have the same issue with like or anybody would, with like a Larry the Cable Guy?
If I was opening for Larry the Cable Guy?
Yeah.
Do you mean like, do you think
you'd have the same problem?
Audience? I think,
because I'm trying to think, I think like you before a Jeff Dunham, I think people would probably dig, because there's this nerdy element. No, because there is this nerdy element to what he does with puppets that I think enough of your observational, like just your flavor, they would maybe like more than. Do you not think so?
Nah, dog. I would.
Did I just hit a nerve that I'm a secret creep nerve?
No, I just hate Jeff Dunham too. Like I don't think he's come up on the show before, but that guy sucks.
Really? Oh my god, I can't believe I have a Dunham story.
The story Nick and I were telling, the episode that he was on, the contest that I won. Part of the prize that I won for that contest, it was at the Allentown Fair, and the big comedy headliner was Jeff Dunham. So I won 2 tickets to go see Jeff Dunham that night. I have never given away a prize faster. I don't think they're like, oh, and here's 2 tickets to Jeff Dunham. I don't think I took the envelope before I was like, no, give those to someone else.
You slapped that. Get that away from me.
I know my friend's son took them, but I think it was like we're all standing around and they're like, oh, and here's 2 tickets to Jeff Dunham. I was like, absolutely not. I think Larry the Cable Guy's audience, I don't have as much of an understanding of him as a real dude. I know
he has become
Cars
dude
2
though.
sucks.
As far as
I know that.
As far as I know, there's not a separation between the character and the man anymore.
Well,
I think.
I don't know, but I think
where like Paul Rubens had a clear and Jim Varney had a clear separation.
Right. Jim Varney's not Ernest. Like that's
right. But I think Andy Kaufman also, despite all the hoopla about like who was there an actual person there or was it all an act, I think from all accounts he turned it off too. There was a base level, just not interesting introvert kind of person.
Because some people are just weird dickheads.
Some people are just weird assholes, and just because they're weird doesn't mean they're not an asshole. Which one? The newest one?
The new one.
I haven't watched the newest one.
I watched it except for the last like 20 minutes because I fell asleep. It is like a lot of stuff that there's not, unless they save it for the very end, there's nothing groundbreaking in there. It is just like
he is an asshole.
Bob Zamuda like really shining in his hog, just being like, oh, he was such a genius, and like no one else was doing what he was doing.
And you know what we were he says
a lot of people were doing weird.
He compliments
performance art.
He always compliments and then includes when he says Andy blah 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 revolutionary and what we were doing at that time. That he then includes he compliments as saying a godlike like revolutionized comedy, but then the next line he always says is a we.
Yeah, I mean, he was heavily involved.
Yes,
I'm sure he's just trying to take some credit, but
yes, that's
he wrote with and for Kaufman, so like I think that's earned.
I think he thinks it was more of a partnership than what he gets labeled as.
Maybe, but I think I like Andy Kaufman's work, but the thing where people are like, oh, like he's like a unique genius. It's like, no, he's not. He's the one who got popular. There continue to be a lot of guys like that, who are like, I'm just going to do the weirdest thing to get a reaction out of people. And his stuff worked more than there. And it's like the whole idea of like, oh, he didn't care if he got a laugh. He just wanted to get a reaction out of people. He did not invent that concept, nor is it a good plan.
And the things that hit the biggest,
he got
that
taxi.
afforded.
That's what happened. He got
and also the Tonight Show, like doing his Elvis impression, like.
Yeah.
It was a good impression. It was a good transition. You know who also did that exact same fucking bit, and I don't think it gets talked about that much? Jim Carrey. Like, so him ending up playing him, and the similarities between the two and how he's perceived amongst his peers and other people that have talked about working with him sounds to be the same thing. They seem to be a little bit of douchebags.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing I think it was Zamuda in the new Andy Kaufman documentary said was like he compared Kaufman's bits to magic tricks, and I think that fits pretty well because like a lot of the people they were interviewing were doing like the whole god, he was so like mysterious and like who was the real guy? It's like he's not a fairy, he's a real guy who thought of a bit that he thought would be funny, and he would go to. It's not. He's not magical, but especially like I think the Elvis one is a great example of like that's the prestige, right? He is doing a long setup of coming out as Foreign Man to to
lower the expectations of when he does this actually pretty good.
Yeah, we're like, this guy's talking in a funny voice. Ha ha ha. We're all kind of chuckling along. Oh, these impressions are pretty bad. But I don't look, it was decades ago. People might have experienced media and performance differently than now. But like, I don't think people were fooled. Like, I'm sure, someone probably was because there's a lot of dumb idiots in the world.
Well, have you seen this document? Have you seen the Albert Brooks documentary by Carl Reiner?
No, that one.
That's
sad.
I didn't. I didn't know that Albert Brooks's appearances on daytime television like Steve Martin's did, and on nighttime Tonight Show like shows or whatever, was as heavy as it was. My knowledge of him was more as a writer, and then the short films for the first season of SNL.
Yeah, I know more about the movie stuff than stand up.
But his appearances on these late night shows or these daytime talk shows like Merv Griffith, he was doing stuff like Kaufman. He was doing a bad ventriloquist act as Albert Brooks. And like, so every time he appeared, it was kind of this failure of a different angle at comedy.
Yeah, Steve Martin did that. Like,
he did it with the magician stuff.
Yeah, he did the Fly Dini thing, and then Carson didn't want to have him on for a couple of years. And it's like, he's like,
because he says about because it was like he did 15 like appearances like in a row or 9 appearances, something crazy, where he was like, I was literally running out of things to do.
Yeah. They're like, can you come back tomorrow? I was like, I'm free, but like, what can I do that again? Because I don't know what else. But the Kaufman thing, before I forget, so the Elvis if people don't know, Andy Kaufman does a great Elvis impression, and you do impressions. I don't. If people, I did that great Mr. Met thing that I put on TikTok like a week ago.
To be fair though, in the one video where you're like, I pitched this to my friend, he didn't think it was funny, I was like, is he referencing me?
Yeah, that's in there just for you, bud.
But so with that, when you tell the bit, I'm like, oh,
I'll have to send you the full video because it is like the whole bit is about 4 minutes long.
But even longer than what you gave to me, because you gave me a micro impression.
Yeah, I gave you a setup, like comically.
Yes. I said, I was like, I think that's funny. But I'm like, I don't think anybody else.
You're like, I get this, but I don't think other people. And it's like, well, what I sent you was the Jerry Seinfeld, how can I shorten this? Absolutely.
Yes.
Like the fewest number of words for anyone to understand this joke. And the joke is I tell people I'm going to do an impression of Mr. Met getting a phone call from his agent in 1992. And then he just yells, Tom Selleck. And because the movie Mr. Baseball came out in 1992. but Mr. Met is a mascot who's got a baseball for a head. So to me, if I'm Mr. Met, I think I should have been cast as Mr. Baseball.
That again, okay, what you're just talking about, Kaufman, not like him doing something that is universally accepted.
Finish and then let me finish comparing it to a magic trick, or I'm going to forget.
Yes. Doing an impression and that hitting for audiences, not his completely like weird all deconstruction of different comedy. You just telling that Mr. Met joke and then explaining the joke immediately as a bit works. So you've deconstructed the idea of a joke that people might not find funny while telling them why it actually mathematically adds up to be funny. Do you now get it? And so to me, I think that's hilarious. Sorry.
I didn't post the full bit, right? Yeah. It is like 4 minutes long. It is like a solid minute-long setup of me explaining why I'm doing an impression of Mr. Met. And it's like, because I talk about the list and I was like, I'm trying to be a better comedian. I want a broader audience. So I'm going to like do jokes about things that I don't normally talk about. Like I've been doing this for a long time, but I kind of tend to focus on the same style of joke or the same couple of topics. So like, I'm going to try to branch out to have more appeal. So like, I don't really do impressions, right? So maybe I can work some impressions in my act. And I usually don't talk about sports because they're boring and I don't like them. So if I do a sports impression, right, that's 2 new demographics for me. And then I explain what the impression is. And then it gets like a couple chuckles. Because it's me yelling, which I don't usually do. So like it catches people off guard.
Oh, he's doing an act out.
And then I explain, I was like, okay, here's why I don't think this joke works, but I still think it's a good joke. And I like break down who Mr. Met is, why I picked him as the mascot. I remind people that there's a movie called Mr. Baseball. And like, so the whole thing is like 4 minutes. And you're right. It's the same thing
you literally TED Talk.
Yeah. I did the same joke with Toy Botto, where it's like, any of the jokes that I made the robot tell are dumb and bad. But if I make the robot tell them and I explain why I have this robot, then like the audience is on board for them. So it's like, I'm not saying it's a good impression of Mr. Met, a silent mascot. It's just funny to me.
Oh, I mean, it is. If you would ever be, in the dugout with him, like,
look, I've met Mr. Met a couple of times. He and I attended my friend's wedding together. This is true.
Did he come as Mr. Met?
Yeah. It's just a fun.
How is this not a story? How is this now not?
It is. It's part of the joke. I talk about.
Okay.
But it's like it's funny to me. It's the thought that Mr. Met is mad that Tom Selleck got cast over him is funny in a way that it's like, well, this could be a New Yorker cartoon. It would get rejected because they're like, not enough people are going to remember Mr. Baseball. Yes. And it's like, right, but for those who do.
But these 4 other panels that explain it, I know that doesn't make it a New Yorker cartoon because it's not a single.
Is just Mr. Baseball, Mr. Met holding a giant phone to his giant baseball head.
It's the joke you sent me.
Yelling, what do you mean they cast Tom Selleck?
Yes.
And the caption is like Mr. Baseball getting a call from his agent in 1992.
Yeah, Mr. Baseball gets rejected for Mr. Baseball.
And it was like, I would be mad if I had a giant baseball head and they cast someone other than me for the title character of a movie called Mr. Baseball. I'm upset.
But here's the question in the world of mascots. Does Mr. Baseball acknowledge that there is other franchises that have a mascot that is Mr. Baseball?
Yeah, I think they're all friends probably. Talk about too, like why I picked Mr. Met and not like the guy from the Reds. Is that he's
yeah.
But
he's Mr. Baseball.
It's like, well, my dad's a Mets fan, so like I'm more familiar with them. But then there's also a longer bit after that where I talk about I think baseball's boring. And
does Mr. Met call the Cincinnati Reds Mr. Baseball? And he's like, I don't know if you've heard yet, but you better be fucking sitting down.
If you're Mr. Met and you find out that like the Cincinnati version of you got cast as Mr. Baseball, you're like, man, that sucks.
It was 50-50.
It's going to be one of the two of us. You know? It's like you and me are pretty similar. So if somebody casts you in a thing over me, it'd be like, yeah, look, it could have gone either way,
no, I'd have gone with the better performer.
But if you have a baseball head and you find out it's Tom Selleck and not you or your friend who also has a baseball head.
Yeah. You're getting drunk with the Mr. Baseball from Cincinnati, and then you're going to Tom Selleck's like house and like pissing on his fence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those guys to this day gotta hate Tom Selleck. It's so funny to me. But so before I forget,
Magic trick.
Kaufman's Elvis impression is a magic trick.
Yes.
Right. The Michael Caine breakdown of how a magic trick works from The Prestige.
This is the prestige.
The promise.
There's the promise of the prestige.
It is but it's like the old guy who like walks around with a giant fishbowl between his legs all day so that he can do it on stage.
Fucking
or
awesome.
That's the foreign man bit.
That's why the ending of the movie bugs me to no end. But
he does the foreign man character a lot at the beginning of the set, so that you're like, all right, this guy talks fun. Is the whole act he's just doing this silly voice again? I don't think people genuinely believed he's from an island in the Caspian Sea. I think they're just like, this kid from Long Island's doing a funny voice. All right. And
I don't know. I think when you broadcast it, I think maybe that in the city, but when you broadcast the Tonight Show,
I'm just talking live.
Homes like if you're all over.
But like that's why everyone's like, oh, like we don't know like who was like he was doing it. He was doing The Prestige. He is always being this weird guy, so that when he goes on stage, the stuff he thinks is funny will work. And I think good bit, Andy. Like that's funny. I think that does make you kind of an unbearable guy to be around. But
right, because the other version of himself was the misogynistic big time wrestler.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
so he starts doing the foreign man, right? He does a couple bad impressions where it's the same voice, essentially the Mr. Met bit
this is Jimmy Carter.
There's there's impressions. I feel like more impressions that I see today are about how you set it up, and then what the impression isn't like you actually can talk like Norm Macdonald. It is
right.
I'm going to do this elaborate setup of like it's Mr. Met getting a phone call from his agent in 1992 so that I can just yell Tom Selleck. And it's like, that's what most impressions that I see today are.
Those are the cool versions of shitting on impressions while doing an impression, but it's not really an impression.
So like he does a couple of those. He's like, oh, I'm going to do a Jimmy Carter. And he's like, hello, I am Jimmy Carter. And it's like, oh, all right, this guy sucks at impressions. And he's like, and now I will do the Elvis Presley. And then like the music kicks on. He takes his jacket off and he's got like the rhinestone Elvis jumpsuit underneath. It's Zarathustra. And like when he turns around, he's got the lip curled, and you're like, you know what? This guy does actually kind of look like. And then the impression is good, and it's like, if he just went up on stage, he's like, I'm going to do an impression of Elvis Presley, and then did that same reveal, people were like,
people do impressions of Elvis.
Pretty good Elvis, I guess.
Yeah.
The bit is
it's wrapped. It's a sandwich.
I'm gonna make you think so little of me that when I do it well, it is so goddamn impressive.
You're gonna write the New Yorker strip, because then you're like, oh man, this guy thinks he's good at impressions, but like the other ones suck. But man, he's actually really good at this Elvis one. I wonder if he knows that he's so much better at this one than the other ones. Because even if you start getting lost in the Inception as well, to go with another Christopher Nolan movie, is you start then believing that the foreign man may not be a character that someone came out and did, because now you're inside of it, of supporting, being like, oh, holy shit, like this Elvis, like he's really good. And then he starts singing and it's like, holy shit, he sounds like Elvis too. And he like doing a pretty good approximation, but then that could be the bit. But it's a sandwich.
But you have to keep it up, because especially at the time, like now that he's getting that bit on TV, right? Other people are seeing it. If he wants to go cheering do it live anywhere else,
he has to keep it up.
If you're in a club, like you don't know who Andy Kaufman is, right? You're in a club in the 60s. This weird guy walks in. You've never seen him before. Goes up on stage, introduces himself as a guy from an island somewhere in the Caspian Sea, is doing a weird voice, doing a couple bad impressions, and then he pulls out an incredible Elvis. You're like, genuinely impressive, man. Yeah, that's a pretty funny bit. But if you've seen that bit before, you're like, all right, yeah, he's going to do a good Elvis. But if you've seen that bit and then you've seen him do that foreign man thing in other contexts, in interviews, he shows up, he's
on a TV show
now. Like, it's like he needs there to be this annoying thing of people like, oh, like who was the real Andy?
Yes.
So that bit and versions of it continue to work. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I understand. It's like, again, I like Andy Kaufman, but
what I was gonna say is the sandwich
he's a
element of
genius. He's like, he was a comic like anybody else.
Yeah, he was a genre of a comic.
I've seen
that I
like
think
3 people recently too be like say basically the same thing about Mitch Hedberg, and like he wasn't even really like a comic. He was like a philosopher. It's like, no, he was a comedian. He wrote jokes and performed them on stage to get people to laugh.
He very much
he was very good at it.
He was very serious about it, and like that's he was able to figure out voice and and was able to.
I will shout out a local comic in the Lehigh Valley that I like a lot right now. His name is Tay and his joke style nowhere. I bumped my mic. His joke style nowhere near Mitch Hedberg. He's not doing like setup punchline. But this kid knows how he comes across on stage and plays into that character so much. Where it's like I play the Dufresne bit for when I do the stand-up class for people as like a great, here's a good setup, punchline, tag bit. And the first couple things he says are not jokes. He's just like, you go to a restaurant and there's a waiting list and then they call the people's name out. People are already laughing because Mitch Hedberg talks funny. Like the way he talks is entertaining to listen to and it gets a laugh out of people. Tay is the set like,
and you were setting you were auditorially setting the scene. And like when you've already become, like I said before, like when you become friends with somebody as he does with the audience, it's like, oh, Mitch, Mitch is that guy. You're sitting around the bonfire and he is like a hillbilly philosopher. You are, when he sets that scene, he's like, man, he's like, when you go to a restaurant, like you are there. And so like you chuckle because you're like, where is he going with this? Like he's put me in this environment and like, yes, I know exactly what you're saying. What are you going to observe that I haven't looked at it that way before, but we all have been in that situation. That's the magic trick. I think that Mitch Hedberg did a lot of times.
So I think that is another, like, that is what Tay does really well like he had a great set last night at the open mic and I've seen him there a bunch of times before. And it's like, sometimes he'll do the same joke, but he is just such like a specific guy on stage that just when he starts, he's not, even before he gets to jokes, for like a solid minute and a half of his 5 minutes last night, he's like, I don't know. I didn't really write any jokes. I just, look, I got some stuff I could try. And he's just like really playing off and it is so clearly a choice and not the thing that I hate that open micers do of like, oh, I don't know, like what I'm going to talk about. He is doing it as a bit and it's like so clear.
He's lowering the expectations.
That he's doing the foreign man thing. He's like, oh, like, if I talk for a minute and a half about how like, I don't really have any good jokes, I'm just going to try some stuff out. Then when he does a couple pretty good jokes, they get a bigger reaction. It's like, smart, it's timed out well, and he also kind of has like I can't do an impression of him or anybody besides Mr. Met, but he has like a pretty unique voice on stage. So anyway, Tay, if you happen to catch this, you're doing great work out
there. To finish my sandwich metaphor of the Andy Kaufman Elvis performance is, after he then gets everybody cheering and everybody loves Elvis, everybody knows Elvis kind of thing. And they're like, this is a great impression. This is a great bit. Oh, we're into it. Cause it's like going and seeing a cover band or whatever, or really good karaoke. He then goes, thank you very much. And he caps it. He puts the other piece of bread back on that sandwich he just gave you. Then everyone dies again. Cause then everyone laughs and they were just told the end.
Because when the reveal that he can do Elvis really well, then you're like, oh, it's all like the whole thing was just a bit, and then he does the voice again, and it's like, I don't think very many people were genuinely fooled.
I think when broadcast, I think people in the different regions of the United States,
on TV and it's the 60s, and you don't have like a ton of awareness of, comedy and the world, I can like, sure, you know, if you're a grandma in Idaho and you're watching, sure, I've heard of Foreign Taxi Drivers. This makes sense to me.
Spinal Tap didn't fully register with me as being Michael McKean, you know, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer. Like when
I think only because I saw it after
I saw it on SNL. Yeah. Well, I saw it on SNL where Christopher Guest was a cast member, but Michael McKean was hosting before then he weirdly 10 years later became a cast member for one season, which history of SNL, fascinating.
I think by the time I saw Spinal Tap, it's like, well, I know who these guys are, you know, maybe not Christopher Guest, but like I knew Michael McKean from
Laverne and Shirley,
Clue. It's whatever. Like, it's like, oh, okay.
It's that guy.
If it wasn't people I recognized, it genuinely might have fooled me. Like I look, Blair Witch came out when I was in high school, and I went to that screening like, I can't believe they found all this spooky footage in the woods. I think
I couldn't make it through it. We were traveling, and there was a movie theater.
I was like, oh, but that marketing was all about this is real, and I'm 16 or whatever. And it wasn't. I couldn't just watch the trailer 400 times on the internet. It's like I would see one commercial late night. I was working at the movie theater when it came out, so it's like I'm there midnight opening night. There's not been a lot of press about this thing. I just hear, you know, what they put out at that point, and then like I saw it, and then like those actors were on the MTV Movie Awards, and then that's when
you're like, hold on. I think
I knew by then, but so many people didn't. Like a lot of people, the reason people are like, oh, well, Blair Witch sucks, right? It's like, no, you're mad you got fooled. Like, it was huge. Like, so back in the film projection days, theaters would have 1 or 2, maybe 3 copies of a movie, but would string it through multiple projectors to add more showtimes. And they would do that with Blair Witch. And they overextended it one night. They tried running it through like 1 too many projectors, and the film broke. So 4 theaters or whatever now full of people are like furious, but like they fixed it and then kept doing that.
Parts of the movie because it was being strung through. No, I mean, okay.
However far away the
yeah.
So it would be like 4 theaters in a row. It's just instead of running it from the reel to the platter to collect it, just run it into the next projector. And the one night, it was going through 3 or 4 projectors, 1 copy of the movie, and it broke. So now you have 3 sold out theaters, people mad.
That's awesome.
And it's like, but the thing with like film, you can't just rewind. Like you can't. I mean, you have to physically rewind. You can't, you know, just scrub back.
You physically have to be kind. And
that was
rewind.
like that movie was huge, and then people found out that it was a lie, and then people were mad that they got fooled and like, oh, this movie sucks. It's like, no, the movie is very good.
No one gets pissed off about Fargo though. Like don't remember
didn't say
it did. It said based on a true story at the beginning of the movie.
Right, but I mean, lots of movies say based on a true story. They didn't put out an elaborate
marketing campaign.
Be like, wait a minute, these are the real people from this murder investigation. Like, it's like, well, no, that's William H. Macy. Like,
but no. So it's the difference between a documentary found footage and blah blah blah. But like Fargo, like that was one of the first, and I'm sure there's more times, but I don't wildly know that as being like a thing that's done a lot where said based on a true story, and it wasn't at all. Like I don't hear many people talking about that when they talk about Fargo. Mike said, "Be kind."
I mean, but Fargo's not the first movie to be like, oh, this is based on, like, lots of movies are based on.
But they were just straight up lying,
events. Though. Is Fargo a straight up lie? I don't know that much about it.
No, it is.
Okay, I mean, say like that, but
I'm just saying I don't think many people talk about that as being
I don't think
thing.
so. I forgot like, that's a construct of Fargo.
Yeah.
But I think it's the effort, you know, to put one title card before your movie, be like, this is based on true events, to like give the feel of a dramatized true crime story versus we are going to blanket, the world with misinformation about what this movie is.
Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust.
We're gonna cast 3
where
totally
everybody was
actors.
Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust. The actors had an NDA, I think, for 2 or 3 years, where 2 years where they couldn't act in anything else. They couldn't do any promotion. They couldn't.
Should have. I mean, they should. I'm glad there was a story recently that like those 3 actors all got like back end money finally because it wasn't part of their initial deal.
And they just did a documentary, I think, about all of
granted, that. I mean, they couldn't have predicted the success of Blair Witch, but when it blew up, I do think then you kind of have to reevaluate your deal with your main characters, because it was like I'm almost positive it was the MTV Movie Awards, but it was like those 3 actors appeared at the MTV Movie Awards, and there was huge public backlash of like, how dare you? I thought they died. Like, what do you mean they're hanging out with
P. Diddy?
I'm trying to think of who was popular at the
time.
Britney
Spears.
Like, why are they with Real Big Fish on stage right now?
Why are they and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones dancing?
And people were like genuinely pissed about it. And it's like, well, no, like that's the thing of like,
I didn't like Blair Witch because I got motion sickness. So it was such a big movie. We were on a family trip when it came out, and there was a movie theater off the side of the road. We were probably still a couple hours from stopping for the night. And I said, I was like, wild request, because I was like 12. 13. I was like, can we
watch some kids get killed in the woods?
I was like, I saw, because that's when they would have the big like now showing on the side of the road, and I was like, that movie theater is showing Blair Witch, new horror movie. I love horror movies. Can we stay here off this exit tonight and go see a movie? My parents were surprisingly like, yep. But so we get off the exit, get popcorn, get drink, go in there to watch this movie, which I normally wouldn't have been able to see because it was rated R. And within like maybe 10 minutes, I was going to say 5 minutes, I have to leave. We all have to leave because the unsteady motion of the camera, I was getting ready to hurl. Like the motion sickness, I couldn't do. So that was I thought it sucked. I was like, I can't even fucking watch it. Like, I hate that movie.
My experience with it was, I think I was 16. Whatever the minimum age you need to be to work in a movie theater in New Jersey. That's how old I was. And I couldn't drive yet. So it's a midnight screening. I was like, hey, mom and or dad, can you give your boy a lift to the theater that I work at so that I can watch Blair Witch at midnight? And they're like, no. You're 1, too young to see that movie. 2, we don't want to be up in the middle of the night to bring you to it. And I was like, all right, I'll walk. So I did. And I walked. It's less than 2 miles. So like a walkable distance, but I'm in rural New Jersey.
Rural New Jersey.
But like I tell people I'm from Jersey and they picture like Newark. I'm sure your town and my town are probably pretty similar aesthetically.
Yes.
Where it's like, it's not a particularly walkable area. And it's also kind of in the middle of nowhere. To get to the theater, I had to walk down a road that is like going through cornfields. It's the middle of the night. It is very windy. It's a creepy road to the fact that like I invented a ghost story for a high school assignment about that road. And then it later got written up in Weird New Jersey as true as like a ghost story. People like
based on a true story.
A story about
it
like
became lore.
If you go too fast on Strikers Road around the curve, you see like the ghost of a little girl chasing a ball. It's like, no, that was me. I didn't want to. The assignment was research a local ghost story, and I was like, that sounds boring. Ghosts aren't real. I'm just gonna make one up, and I did it. And then people were like sharing it, I guess, because it was like years later.
Did you know that? Did a similar thing. So we were just talking about this last night. My mother-in-law, my wife, and I. Well, we just had, like I said, the twins. No Anna because she's with Grammy and Papaw. But we were talking about the Richard Gere gerbil story, and that only recently, like in the last like year or so, did I find out where that came from. Do you know
the origin story besides?
But you've heard like Richard Gere's gerbil in his butt. again, it's that wild thing, like across,
I
like
know what
before
the
the
origin
internet.
story isn't. I know the origin isn't that actually happened.
No, it's obscure movie that before a bunch of people from it popped, called Lords of Flatbush. Stallone, Henry Winkler, Richard Gere, and a couple other people are in it. And Stallone and Richard Gere, they're famously Hollywood feud for many years, and it started here. They got in a fight, and Richard Gere got, I think, fired from the movie, and Stallone started spreading that Richard Gere shoves gerbils in his ass. So Sylvester Stallone is the originator of the Richard Gere gerbil
Just another
story.
reason to love famously great man Sylvester Stallone. Man, I'm glad you get punched in the head a lot in movies.
But how does it feel being the Stallone of the Ghost Road?
It was so funny to me.
Isn't that weird?
So I applied to work at Weird New Jersey when I was in college. They were looking for a writer, and it's like, I live in New Jersey. I know weird stuff. Yeah. And then I lost it to Chris Gethard, which, like, look, fair. But all like part of it was also like I don't believe in ghosts. I've never believed in ghosts. So like so much of that is like, ooh, those like spooky haunts. Like, well, yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Are you gonna delete my jokes if I add jokes to these?
It's fun to go down a spooky road in the middle of nowhere with your friends, you know, but like
it's fun to hypothesize of like, if there was evil here, what would it take form as, of like what would fit here, like narratively.
Again, so even though like I know in my like I don't believe ghosts and witches and monsters are real, having to walk down a windy road I invented a ghost story about. It might have been after that. Like I don't know if I did it before, like
to go see Blair Witch. And you had to walk back, right? So then after you saw it,
I walked through this cornfield middle of the night, already like vaguely spooky. And then I get there. There's an Amazon warehouse there now, so it's less daunting. But I watched this movie at midnight, so now it's like 2 a.m, and I'm like walking back, and it's like I am admittedly a little bit spooked here. But it's like I think I was alone. I walked. For the premiere of American Pie, I did the same thing because my parents didn't want to drive me at midnight. But I was walking with a friend of
rightfully
mine.
So. I mean, if you like the fact that they're like, we're not going to drive you. If you want to get there, you want to walk. Like you can walk.
Yeah,
like you go
that
right
one I
ahead,
might have
buddy.
straight up snuck out.
Probably for the hard R.
Yeah. What year was American Pie? Do you remember?
96. No, 99.
98.
98.
No.
Well, because the second one,
96.
The second one I think is 2001, so it might be 99. They might have fast tracked. Let's say it's 99.
99. Yeah,
99.
So I'm how old? 16 again. So like,
okay.
Was it the same year? Was it Blair Witch 99 as well?
Probably.
Like it was. That's the year everyone's like, oh, like movies.
So then I would have been 14.
Yeah. 99. So again, like they probably wouldn't let me in, but I worked at the theater, so that I got to go to
99. Good
it might
call.
not. That one might not have even. Oh, you know what? I think American Pie.
Phantom Menace and Matrix also. I think 99.
I think American Pie was just like we're running the print for employee. Like
we're running the print to jerk off to.
Well, no, like so in old timey days when movies were distributed on film, like someone at the theater had to test the print before opening night. So like the night before, the manager or whoever would just sit in the theater and watch the movie, essentially just to make sure that like it's not half of a movie or reels got cut together wrong, whatever. Because again, they don't get shipped as one big thing. A person had to edit them together at each theater. So to make sure that process worked, they do a test screening. So American Pie was that. So I got a friend of mine. We walked from my house to the theater, watched the movie, and then walked home. Same way, but like different experience. I'm not alone. The movie's not scary.
You're all horned up.
All horned up.
Hey, Fred. Good friend of mine, Nick Prince. He did on demand. His family would let him like rent different things for whatever the $20 were. And they had satellite. And so they got stuff like real cool. Like they got stuff real fast, like movies that just got to the theaters, like, you know, how they kind of do now, but
Yeah.
back then it was revolutionary. But we forgot that he had a closed circuit throughout his house. So any TV could watch what the other TVs were watching, almost like a network.
Yeah.
And we rented Road Trip. He convinced his parents to, you know, naughty night, early 2000s sex comedy after American Pie. And so like we watched that, and it was the unrated version. That's how you could get it. The one that wasn't shown in theaters. So we're like, oh my God. So again, two dudes,
Great marketing ploy that is.
Two like 14, 15-year-old dudes.
Sure.
Just being like, yeah, so let's watch some titties together. So we did that. So after that, I don't know why we weren't more informed, but we're like, oh my God, did you see what's going to be coming out? Bring it on. And the unrated version's going to be on this. And we didn't know the movie was a PG-13 movie. I don't know why we didn't look into it, but we're like, movie about cheerleaders with Elijah Dushku and Kirsten Dunst. Like, holy shit, this movie's going to be hot. We order that. And then his mom is like, oh, I just turned the TV to the channel. Did you guys just order a movie? And we're like, oh no, his mom's going to watch this and it's going to be so horny. Like we're going to be in deep trouble. And then by the end of it, we're disappointed. And then yeah, this movie wasn't, well, movie isn't horny at all. There's no nudity. We were so upset that it's just kind of like a John Hughes movie for like the early 2000s about cheering, and acceptance and, you know, whatever. Then his mom is just like, what did you guys know about that movie before you read it? Like she asked, she's like, why? Classically, she also is the one who came. We were watching the first Evil Dead that neither of us knew anything about. A friend that we worked with at Long John Silver's was like, you guys like horror movies? You ever heard of this? We were like, huh? I had seen Army of Darkness, but had forgotten that Evil Dead was the movie 2 movies before.
Sure.
So we watched Evil Dead on a Sunday afternoon. So it's like 3 p.m. on a Sunday, just light beaming into his house in the living room, old setup living room with a piano and like a couch that you don't actually lay on for comfortability. His mom comes in right as the tree rape scene happens. Oh, no. And she's like, what are you guys watching? Looks at the TV. Bam. She's like, all right, well, you guys enjoy that. And like spun out.
When I worked at Blockbuster after the theater, or did I leave Blockbuster to work at the theater?
You had all the jobs that I wanted.
Yeah. I forget which one I did first, but Blockbuster, you could rent 5 movies a week for free as an employee. So I did every week. I maxed it out. And my dad would work. He was working overnight security at the time, so he would just like grab the tapes and bring them to work, and then just watch them overnight, and then just bring them back. And then a couple times he's like, you watch some weird stuff. And, I left the theater to work at Blockbuster because I was older, because I was driving myself to Blockbuster.
And you're like watching David Lynch and stuff.
Yeah, I'm watching. I think it might have been Chasing Amy. I think was the one where he's like, you watch some weird stuff. It's like, all right, fair.
Really sexual, like any bit of like homosexuality. He's just like, ew, no.
He's not like, this is gross. He's just like, I think it was so. My dad and I have a good relationship.
Just so beyond the norm of what he was used to seeing, and
yeah. It's like he's not out there renting Being John Malkovich on his own, you know. We have a great relationship. It's just we have very little in common in terms of interests. So there have been times over the years where like one of us will do something for the other that we think they will like, and then it's just like, oh, actually, neither of us like I took him to a Bob Dylan concert in high school
because you thought he liked Bob Dylan.
Oh, he's an old guy. He probably loves this shit. We're like half an hour in, and Bob Dylan sucks live, like pretty famously. I don't think I'm, breaking any hot news.
Holy shit! Did you just see on Laughing Squid clickbait? Glenn Tickle slams Bob Dylan.
We're not
says classically known as not being good. Thinks fans should demand reparations for all the live concerts he's done over the years.
I looked up. There's like playlist.org or com or something like has like records of performances. So I knew it was Stabler Arena, and I looked up the year and stuff. And it's like, I know it was. He had a song from the movie Wonder Boys, and I liked that movie.
Yes.
That song's pretty good for, again, like Bob Dylan's not a guy I particularly care about, but there's like good Bob Dylan songs for sure. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I think the reputation is pretty well established. He's not that good live.
Yeah.
So we're like half an hour into this concert. Clearly neither of us are having a good time. Also, I did not remember this at all for years. And then like, a couple years out of college, I mentioned, it's like, oh, like, yeah, I don't know. I've never seen like Bob Dylan live. And my dad's like, yeah, you did. I was like, when? He's like, we went. And he's like, you took me to see Bob Dylan. I was like, did I? And he's like, we didn't stay the whole time.
Oh, wow. Like, that's awesome.
So a lot of my friends were like theater kids in high school. And I would like, I wasn't as like, as they were, but like I liked my friends, you know.
Yeah.
So I would like, my dad took that as like, oh well, Glenn, huge musical theater kid. And I was like, well, not really.
Or maybe he's just like, and this is when I start embracing his gayness. Let me see if I can.
Oh, my dad's a much more musical theater fan than I am. Him and my uncle broke into song from West Side Story at my bachelor party. And
interestingly enough, there's a new documentary coming out about the three main producers of West Side Story and how famously over the top gay they were, bringing this like semi-masculine, this like fighting musical. I mean, a macho. Yeah. And that's a new documentary that's coming out.
But I read the book Les Mis. I was taking French in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't read it in French, but famous French novel. I'm like,
oh, French
I know
Revolution,
this there's the musical, there's been movie versions, famous story. I'm a nerd. It's a big, thick book. I'll look smart carrying it around.
Yeah.
So I was reading it, and then my dad, for my birthday or Christmas or something, got him and I tickets to go see Les Mis together. And we're both fairly tall. The theater that Les Mis is in, built in like the 1400s. Mm-hmm. It's so old, and the seats are so shitty and small. We're like I think we're first or second row in one of the balconies, and like our knees are just like pressed up against the back of the edge of the balcony or the seats in front of us. It's a long ass play. And like at the intermission, we're like, are you having a good time? Because I'm really like, my legs hurt so much. I'm really uncomfortable. And we're like, well, we're here. We're like, you know, like buy the ticket, take the ride. It's like, well, we're not going to leave early. I think we left the Bob Dylan concert early, or at least like didn't stay for an encore. Like,
didn't like, I'm not playing this fucking game with this guy. Like we
went.
Done
I remember
show, buddy.
We talked about it, but did go back in for Les Mis.
For Les Mis, my brother and I. So he thought, because of different cookbooks and some things that he read, and maybe a couple episodes of his show, but never really like a devotee or a completionist. Alton Brown. Mm-hmm. My brother thought that he really would be into seeing a live show of his. So my parents, while we were living in Chicago, bought us tickets. He's on tour right now, I
believe.
Yeah, bought us tickets. And I didn't know, but for him to have someone to go with, I was like, oh, I'll go with you. So my parents famously bought these like couple $100 tickets to go see it at the Chicago Theater in Chicago, pretty big theater. And we had pretty decent seats. And by the time of intermission, my brother, who also, he doesn't like feeling captive. Mm-hmm. Like when he starts getting in his head about being like, oh, wait, do I have to be here? Am I forced to being here? Can I escape? Fight or flight kind of mentality.
Relatable.
Yeah. I sometimes I can manage it a little bit better, but he was just like going through everything in his head of just being like, Mom got this for me as a birthday present or birthday or Christmas, and it costs this much. And he's not one he'll waste money, but he's just like, is it all right that I don't want to be here anymore?
Yeah.
And I said, oh no, like, because people around us were like fucking losing their minds, and like it was an experience, like it was church. And we were just like, yep, this might be something to somebody, not us.
Might be time to go.
And he's like, would you be okay if we left? And I was like, dude, this is like, I'm just along for it.
He either just did or is doing the State Theater in Easton soon.
Yeah.
And it's a thing of like, yeah, I watched Good Eats. Like that's a big part of how I learned to cook as a kid. I loved
his scientific approach.
The thing I loved about his approach is like, here's how you cook a steak. Here's why you do it that way.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's again another autism trait of just like, yeah, I don't want you to just tell me how to do a thing. I want to know why we're doing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And as like a nerdy science kid, like just knowing that, where now like my wife and I both cook pretty well. She will like follow a recipe and I will just like play Chopped every night for dinner. It's like, well, what do we have? Well, and it's, I think the difference is it's like, well, I watched so much of Good Eats and like Iron Chef and stuff where it's like Iron Chef is like people figuring it out, and then Good Eats is like, here's how these processes work. So it's like, well, yeah, like if we have spinach and
mm-hmm.
like some mushrooms, like I can figure out how to cook these together and season them in a way that will taste good.
I mean, we no longer as Universe have eggs.
I do.
They have they've been priced out of existence.
Oh boy, I
got eggs.
My wife had the audacity. She's like, we have too many. It's like, I don't think you should tell people that right now.
No. This is going to become a purge situation for eggs.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the people not painting eggs this year for Easter because that's too frivolous because of how expensive they are?
Like cardboard ones for the past couple of years. We've just been doing those because like my
wife was just
they don't eat them.
Right?
Like that always seemed like a waste to me. We don't need to do this if they're not.
Yeah,
and it's weird because they eat hard-boiled eggs. It's just they won't eat the color.
Like get some wooden eggs. Like we don't need these. Don't need to be real eggs, but they're painting potatoes as a substitution, and I was just like, and my wife was just like, well, that's ridiculous. She's like, we'll just use eggs, and I was like, well, eggs are ridiculous because we're not religious. Like we don't.
The whole thing's ridiculous.
I was like, baby. I was like, this is all ridiculous. We're hiding shit. We're like selling this lie of like, and there's the Easter. Like Anna's lost her two front teeth.
Yeah.
So like, my wife made me be the tooth fairy because she had just done it the week before and almost got caught. And so we've had some. She thought maybe I would be. I don't know. I wasn't. I hit every creak, every floorboard that like going in there that like made a loud noises I hadn't heard before. Like kind of the shit you probably picked up on walking through the cornfield after Blair Witch. Like you're hearing things that you don't like as a comic on stage. There's that Jay Moore thing of like you hear like X amount of things.
Right. You know when somebody's getting up to go to the bathroom, when like a server's taking an order, you hear
you can't ever get the number down to 0, but if you can get it down to like 3 or 5, like that's pretty good. That don't comment on them, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so I had to put the money in there, like, and then she woke up and like I had the tooth and she has like a little porcelain thing that she puts it in and she's like, huh? And I was like, oh, and like I scurried out of there like Monsters Inc. And then like went into our bedroom and Allie's like, did she wake up? I was like, yeah, she did. And she's like, did she see you? And I was like, yes, but I don't know to what degree. Is she like half sleep, half whatever? She came into the bedroom and she gave me a hug and I said, oh, honey, what's that for? And she's like, just because I love you. Were you just in my room? And I was like, yes. Because you had been sick, I was checking on you, and I'm just like, oh, I hate this lie.
You want a pro tip?
Yes.
For next time, or any daddios out there watching, if that happens, say, hey, have you seen my phone charger?
I don't ever bring it in there.
Doesn't matter. They don't clock that. They're just like, oh, daddy's looking for something. Like phone charger is so specific. They're like, why would I'm 6? Why would I have that information? It's like, oh, I might like they don't think it's like, oh, okay, and they just go back to sleep.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, because again, I also don't like lying to them, so it's like, well, if I do it in the form of a question,
I mean, it's a white lie, but I mean, it's still lying.
But it's
you're not really looking.
saying,
You're not
"Hey, this
really
is my phone
looking.
charger."
You're not
You're
really
not
looking for your
saying-
phone charger, though.
Yeah, it is.
So the question that you're, it's semantics. That's a
Yeah.
Trumpian level lie, where he's
How
like,
dare you.
he's like, if you want the rules to be changed and the laws to be changed, change them. I'm just gonna exploit them. Skinadoosh.
Yeah,
I didn't
just,
finish before the
okay,
landslide of it all.
You love
We've been moving.
bringing it down.
We've
Is
moving
that
a
the
lot.
line? Landslide
Yeah.
brought me down.
Well, that basic white middle-aged white women love that song. I love that most do not recognize that it's a song about doing booger sugar. It's a song about doing cocaine. That is a point that is often lost. But anyway, that song comes on. The boys get quiet in the back seat, and Allie's like singing along to it. And Gus starts blowing raspberries, something that he has newly just started doing. And he's doing it. He has started mimicking the melodies of songs. So he's doing it to Landslide. He's turned it into like a
Brilliant.
Gene Belcher like fart version where he's like,
You love to see it. Good bit.
like we were dying laughing, and he kept on going, and we're like, all right, maybe it was just Landslide. And then the song Monday Morning comes on because it's Fleetwood Mac playlist, and he starts doing it to that, and we were just like, and he knew it was funny because like he would laugh in between like doing some of the fart noises.
Yeah.
Just that, like that undercutting of seriousness. Oh, so you said about the Andy Kaufman documentary. I haven't seen the date on it, but I think it's soon. The Paul Rubens documentary.
Yeah.
The two-parter HBO Max one.
I will watch it eventually. I don't know if I'm ready.
You don't know if you're ready for it yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I am.
Like the Kaufman one, again, like I like Andy Kaufman's work, but I wasn't like, I also, died well before I ever knew who he was.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna like emotional. Like I haven't watched the Gene Wilder one. The newer Henson one I haven't watched, where it's like, well, yeah, like I don't. It's just gonna make me sad,
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. I sometimes will purposely put on some television that'll make me squirt some tears, make me feel some things. I did just start.
I don't want to feel anything.
I did just start White Lotus first season, which has a phenomenal cast and is very funny. But it's definitely a vibe that I think so famously that Mike White, the creator, kudos on him for just having such an interesting career and always like coming back with something, either being a cast member on Survivor or doing like The Amazing Race with his dad. Just an interesting dude, but for the new season of Mike Flincham said, I like to get sad sometimes.
I do just by default enough that like I don't need to seek it out, It's like,
really,
I don't need to do this to myself.
You don't like to mix entertainment sometimes as the conduit for the sadness?
I listen to like a lot of sad music that I like, but it's not like, oh, if I put this on I will feel sad. It's like, no, I just like the magnetic fields or whatever.
I specifically made a playlist yesterday. I called it Easy Listening, which I could have also just called it sad music, but I based it off of two songs. The song from Tootsie, Stephen Bishop, Something Telling Me It Might Be You, that song, and the theme song to the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore, Burt Bacharach, Peter Allen.
That one I know.
If you get drunk between the moon and New York City. I started a playlist specifically with just those two songs and then worked from those down. Called it Easy Listening because I was just like feeling a little melancholy. And I was just like, I just need some sad white man music. Or another famous one would be I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your mind. There's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see it tonight. You don't know that one?
No.
Like AM radio, like white guy AM radio.
I say I don't know a lot about music, but then if I'm like doing trivia or something and I get a lot of the questions right, and it's like maybe I do. I just don't. I don't know. I don't listen to music a lot. I mostly just listen to podcasts
No
and audiobooks.
No Barry Manilow for you when you're feeling a little low and you just want to be in your feelings.
I think people think I'm kidding when I say like, oh yeah, I like mostly just listen to Harvey Danger. But if you broke down like percent of time, although it would get thrown off because like my kids also use my Apple Music account, so it's like, wow, you listen to Taylor Swift a lot. And it's like, well, no, they do. Or like My Little Pony soundtracks are big.
Christopher Cross, Mike. Sorry, yes, Christopher Cross, Brad did perform the Arthur song, but it's written by Burt Bacharach and Peter Allen. Just some nerdy. Love me some Burt Bacharach. Yeah, and Peter Allen. I was going to mention this before, and you said about being squished in a theater. Me and my brothers went and saw on my high school graduation road trip to New York City. We saw A Boy from Oz, and we were in the last 3 back seats of this Broadway theater. And like, I'm not a tall person. I'm like 5'10" and a half, knees up to my chin. But that A Boy from Oz is about Peter Allen, who wrote the Arthur theme with Burt Bacharach.
Sick. I'm learning so much about the
white guy knowledge.
Yeah.
Arthur's one of my favorite comedies.
I haven't seen it for a while.
That's
I'm
a movie
assuming
make
you
me
specifically
cry.
mean the remake.
Yes, the Russell Brand. Yes,
with your best friend Russell Brand,
with my not rapist friend.
Yeah,
Russell Brand.
I know. Like, I feel like Arthur was a movie that played a lot on television when I was a kid. So I'm in New Jersey, but when TV was broadcast, it's like I'm pretty equidistant from New York or Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But
syndicated television.
Yeah, so Saturday mornings there would be cartoons, but then at a certain point the cartoons would stop, and then be like, all right, whatever, kids, go outside and play. This is an afternoon movie for grown-ups.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is his own brother.
I hated going outside to play, so it's like, all right, I guess I'll watch Batteries
Shaft
Not Included again.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Mannequin. Yeah.
And it's like, I would usually just stick around for the afternoon, and like I feel like Arthur was a big one on there. So I don't know that I've watched it as an adult, but I know I've seen it.
Oh, this came up a couple weeks ago at a show we were doing. He was talking about the harshness of watching some 80s movies now with like your children, and then being like, they just say that from different things from 80s movies. One of them is the classic Roadhouse line, which I grew up watching Roadhouse on like USA or TBS or TNT. And I never heard that line of before the dude gets his throat ripped, where he has Patrick Swayze from behind and he goes, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison." Like, it's a random fucking left field line that comes in the middle of this fight.
That one's not going to be included on the WPIX Channel 11 Saturday afternoon movie edition.
Yes, I don't know what that dubbing was. Like, where Die Hard, it was like Yippee-ki-yay, Melon Farmer.
Yeah.
Or for Big Lebowski, when they eventually showed it, it was like, that's what happens when you fudge strangers in the Alps or something.
I like the Mallrats one. The line where I forget the actual line, but Jay's like, "Holy shit, dude, motherfucking Yoda and shit." In the TV edit, it's just like, "Dude, Yoda," but he's like still talking.
Now they're just like, where they weirdly zoom in too, where it's like the Coke,
because you got to crop
the
out
cup.
Joey Lauren Adams' boobs.
Well, that too, and it's blurry, and you're just like, what am I missing? But so the Roadhouse one,
why'd they get so close on Kevin Smith's face?
For years, Mike said Ricky can go for hours about homoerotic undertones in movies. I would say they're not. That's not undertones. That is on Front Street. And in an 80s movie that is like playing to the most extremes of all the tropes of just like these machismo things, but he's brilliant and whatever. It's a Wild West movie, but contemporary 80s location. But that line, for years, had no idea of it. I get the DVD where Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier do a commentary with it. It's a random weird, I think like 20th Century Fox or MGM DVD. But just one specific run of it. Not all of them have it. But when that line happened when I was watching the movie, I was just like, what did he just say? And like, I literally like rewound and put on subtitles. And I was just like, this scene plays a lot differently now.
I think I only watched Roadhouse the first time like pretty recently. And it's not very good, and I don't know why people love it so much.
OG Roadhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It all like I looked up after the fact. I was like, oh well, clearly they're like Quentin Tarantino style. Like this was a samurai movie.
Yes.
That the guy who made Roadhouse is like, well, I really like this samurai movie. How do I do an American version?
Yes.
Because that's the only way that story even makes a little bit of sense is Patrick Swayze is a Ronin. Like,
yes, a cooler.
There's not, you don't have, famous bouncer isn't a thing that exists in the world. No bar is going to a bar in another state to recruit bouncers for their bar.
Yes, they are. Yes.
That's insane.
Yes.
But
he went through like a file. It was like when you go to the get your haircut at like Great Clips, and they have a book of like different variations of haircuts that they can do there, that they specialize, that they're all trained in.
But especially the thing is like, oh, like he accidentally killed a dude. He's very philosophical. It's like, this is, I don't mean like, oh, there's a lot of similarities.
Carries
like
his own medical file.
And there's similarities that I see between this and like samurai tropes. It's like, no. What I'm saying is there is a samurai movie in the world that is Roadhouse, like the way Star Wars is Hidden Temple, Hidden Fortress, Hidden Temple. The Green Monkey's got to get the lightsaber. No, like the Kurosawa movie, Hidden Fortress.
Yes,
watch it. It's
the Seven Samurai it is 100% the Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, you know, right. Like it's not. I'm not saying they pulled so much. I'm like no. I mean, Magnificent Seven specifically, like, no, we're gonna do an American movie.
It is straight up,
Seven Samurai. I don't think George Lucas was like, I'm gonna make Hidden Fortress. He did pull a lot. There's lines from Hidden Fortress in Star Wars,
mainly R2D2 and C3PO.
A lot that whole framework straight from that movie. Han Solo is I forget his character, but Yoshiro Mifune, his character in Hidden Fortress is Han Solo.
I think there's a lot of Lone Wolf and Cub in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But
what I'm saying is it's the Seven Samurai thing of the people who made Roadhouse. There is a specific samurai movie, but I couldn't find what it is. All I could find was that the people who made Roadhouse say based on real events. They say it's a real and not in the Fargo way. So they're like, the way the real event was like, there's a like crime boss in a town that everybody hated. And
Bloodsport is famously that thing, that same thing. From what is this Duke, who trained and wrote Bloodsport, but also Tony Duke, maybe is his name, who trained Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Bloodsport says based on a true story, because he said that while in the French Foreign Legion or whatever fucking military thing he was in, he participated in a kumite where it was one man standing and he was victorious. Well, but if you don't dig those kind of, like, if you can't, turn your brain off to enjoy that.
I'm disgusted.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's a Bruce Springsteen thing.
It doesn't seem like a movie I would enjoy. But I can't find any reference to whatever this specific samurai movie is. I don't know enough about like non-Kurosawa samurai movies, like to be like, oh well, it's this one. And it's like, I will, if I decide I'm gonna watch a samurai movie every day from now until I find it, I will one day find the exact movie that is Roadhouse, beat for beat. I swear to God, it's out there.
Lady Snowblood is fantastic. It's a highly influential movie on Tarantino's Kill Bill. That is a fantastic samurai movie. The Lone Wolf and Cub movie that was made.
That's pretty clear for Mandalorian.
The compiled one. Yeah. Well, I'm saying the compiled version of that, which I can't think of what the name of, where they combined like 4 of the movies to make one movie. That was the American version. The wildest samurai movie I watched was the 70s movie where this guy is like, when were samurais? What, like 17th century? Or does it go back farther than that?
I don't know, man. I want to say 18. I mean, the end was like when Japan was opening up for trade with other like that was like the Last Samurai is like that era. So like I don't know when they
when they started.
But that's when like they're like, oh well, we have guns now, so we don't really need you guys.
So we're pre-guns, but we're in that era for samurai. This movie, and I can't think of the name of it. It was so wild, and it was so of a time. It was clearly the samurai version of James Bond, because this samurai who is like also like a Dirty Harry detective, part of samurais again before guns, is like, oh man, if you want the job done, but you don't want to know how the sausage gets made, bring in this samurai, this guy. And he has like a bachelor pad, like with swords hidden and stuff. Yeah. But you know how he interrogates people if they're women?
Probably nakedly.
With his penis, who we see him sharpening like a tool. His penis, who we see. He has this like punching bag thing, but it's filled with hot coals in the bottom and like grains of sand.
I don't want to see he like samurai fleshlight, dog. Yeah.
It was awesome and terrible. Like it was just like, this is the most sexist fucking thing that I've ever seen. But it was like the way that it is done with conviction. Like it's like whenever you've caught like good acting in porn, where it like kind of like you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. I don't know if I like good acting in porn. I just need to watch this for whatever function it needs to be. It's like that. It's also like when a really classy movie, like we were talking before, shows boobies, and you like a Chasing Amy, or I mean, Mallrats isn't a classy movie.
It doesn't get classier than Mallrats.
But so this samurai movie, if I think of the title, but I want to look it up. Do you think maybe Roadhouse, was it based off of a movie, or was it based off like a manga or like a text or like a pulp?
I genuinely believe in my heart, samurai movie.
And that's your wild claim that you don't know if it's
this
true
is based on nothing other than watching Roadhouse and be like, this movie isn't very good. It doesn't make any sense unless what happened was they adapted a samurai movie.
Well, and like so many things of the 70s were based off of The Searchers. I could believe,
because it doesn't even make sense to me. I know, like you mentioned, like Western, and like there's a lot of overlap on purpose. Like that when they were making samurai movies, that was the inspiration, and then Westerns were being inspired by samurai movies. Like it went back and forth a couple of times with like Kurosawa and Sergio Leone. We're like, I like what that guy's doing. I'm going to go do a little bit of that. And then like, oh, I like what you did with my thing. I'm going to do your thing over here. And like, there was a lot of
the Tower of Babel movies, any of the movies that were produced and say like,
or like Yojimbo and Fistful of Dollars, or the Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah. For a few dollars more, Fistful of Dollars. Yeah. Fistful of Dollars.
Yojimbo. And then, like there's just a lot of that. But I think, again, it doesn't make sense that they're like, oh, we want to make a movie that's like a samurai movie, but we're going to make it about bouncers. It only makes sense to me if there is one specific movie.
He's a hired gun. Yes, but I think it could also just be High Noon, where High Noon isn't I don't think High Noon, hopefully I'm not talking on my ass, and everyone, like anybody listening is just like, it's 100% this Japanese movie. But that is a movie that has been redone, and I believe its beginnings is Western, and it's been done in so many different comedically.
I don't
know. So Roadhouse could be based off. It's a hired gun, like Western kind of thing.
No, because the specific of like he accidentally killed a guy. He doesn't want to be a samurai anymore. It's I try to get out. They pull me back in.
He didn't accidentally kill a guy. He ripped out his fucking throat.
Yeah, like, but he
like, you don't accidentally like, oh shit. Oh.
No, but isn't it? No, that's
his
ripped
move.
Out the dude's throat at the end. But like, is that
because he had to put him down?
Okay. Yeah. Again, like I watched it one time.
He does it again, and he's just like, oh. But
did they make it an accident in the remake? Is that why I think that?
Oh, a remake? Oh, there's a remake
of Roadhouse.
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
I think it's.
I like Gyllenhaal.
Or like, he's an MMA fighter, and like he just doesn't stop punching his friend.
Yeah,
enough.
Kills him.
Like he kills him in the ring, but it's like, he doesn't decide, oh, I'm going to straight up murder this fool. It's just like, oh, I have a real violent streak, and I
see red, and
it's like it wasn't. I think it's.
He has to learn to cool. He has to learn to cool himself. That's why he's such a good cooler as a bouncer.
Which again, like the remake of Roadhouse isn't good either, but he's very funny in it. I don't know that he's supposed to be, but
Oh, you don't think he's in on the bit?
I think he is, but like
Oh,
I don't
okay,
think
okay.
it's.
You don't think it was supposed to be?
Yeah. How little that character like care or he is trying so hard to be calm and chill in the most insane situations where it's like that's pretty funny. But again, I didn't think it was a very good movie, and it's weird that they put Conor McGregor in that movie instead of jail where he belongs to go. But yeah, we should probably wrap this up there.
We should another over 2 hour episode.
As I mentioned, so I'm all done hosting that open mic. I agreed.
I thought that was going to be the first thing we were going to out of the gate talk about.
Maybe. I mean, it went well. Everybody did a great job except for one kid who I don't enjoy. I don't remember your name, kid. And I probably never will.
And he keeps on coming out.
I'm not hosting that mic anymore. So I'll probably never see you again because I can't imagine you stick with this very long.
Wow.
Yeah. Sadly.
What was this material?
Bad. It was like you know how like you and me when we do jokes, they're good and funny. These ones aren't that. And seems like kind of a dick. So I don't feel bad. I would call him out by name, but again, I don't know what it is. So I audibly booed part of his set. Trying to bring that back. I think the thing everyone's so worried about, like, oh, you can't say anything anymore, you can get canceled. Instead of that, we should just start booing people in the moment when they say a dumb bad thing, like a slur, for example.
But then there's that weird collective of like, how do you agree unanimously that we should all boo? Because then you get people booing.
Start it. You got to be brave, like me.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like you're on stage and you're like this, and then somebody in the audience is like, I disagree with you. Boo. So if you bring it back, it works.
Strengthen your convictions. Like if I say something that somebody doesn't like and I get booed, I'm gonna dig my heels in and explain why I said what I just said. I'm not gonna.
Right. And yeah, you're correct. Because in most instances, the other people who you would then boo will not be able to justify their racism.
Yeah. Like if you say a slur on stage and I go boo from the back of the room, and then you just kind of like sheepishly move on to the next thing because you're a coward. If you make a case for why it's okay for you to have said that word then, and I was like, you might convince me. You're not going to. You shouldn't have said it. And I don't think you're good at comedy. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like scream. It wasn't the scene from The Princess Bride. I wasn't screaming it relentlessly. He said a slur, and I went boo from the back of the room, and then he ignored me and kept going. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to shut it down. I was trying to express displeasure in the moment, which
you did not want to be complicit in being quiet in that moment of just being
I
like,
booed him from the back of the room, and I walked up to the soundboard. Because like, if he does it again, I'm going to cut his mic. Didn't have to. Didn't cross any lines for the rest of the set. Just wasn't funny or good at comedy.
Interesting. Like, what was the like true stories? Like, what was the vibe? What was the style of comedy?
Oh, he's like, oh, I'm a young white guy, so like, won't it be funny if I'm like a little stinker? Let's see what I can get away with. Very little with me, actually. I lose interest with that shit pretty quick.
Oh, I hate that archetype. I hate the scamp.
Yeah, get out of here. Go walk into a river and never return. A big one, not the Delaware. You know, like
Cincinnati. Look, Ohio River right now, where it's flooding. Like it is massive.
Go in the
it's brown.
Cuyahoga.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's flooding right out in front of my brot's front door.
Burn on, Big River, burn on. All right, shout out Randy Newman, another musician that I do like and know things about.
All right, should we? Well, God, I don't like not ending on a positive
I don't want to end on me
so
dumping on this kid that I don't like. Although I did say Randy Newman is good. Does that count as something positive? What do you got?
I mean, it. We are on a better journey. Hopefully, not. I'm not opening it up too much for a big long talk, but we are hopefully on a better journey with Anna as we've been struggling with her ADHD and her moods with that. She's on spring break. Saw a doctor that she started taking some Adderall. And so she had also gotten strep last week. Oof. So before taking the Adderall, it was funny because we knew we were seeing the psychiatrist and we were like, is there any way we can ask the psychiatrist if there's a way to make her act like she's always got strep? but not sick from strep, because she's been a delight these past couple of days. Like, she's not been a zombie. It just literally brought her down to who she is.
Just kind of like chill, because I get it.
Yeah, and
weird way
was
of
still hyper,
but yeah.
No, but yeah, and so, but then as the strep, taking the amoxicillin was wearing off, and she was feeling better, also getting a little kookier, but not that unmanageable, like aggressive, like mean kooky, or like again seeing red or Jekyll and hiding. She saw the therapist on Monday morning, and luckily the concern that we were having was because we were going to Cincinnati Children's opposed to Kentucky, going across the river. We're like, what if the doctor is like, look, I can look at all your charts and all the medications you've been through and have done, but we got to start at a certain ground level here. That's what we were concerned was going to happen. Luckily it didn't. Luckily he listened, and was just like, this is what I would try next. And now, with this history of all these medications that you've tried, it's now a dosage game,
right,
of if the Adderall works, it'll be figuring out how much. Guanfazine is another thing she's taking every night. Figuring out.
Is that Zyrtec? Is that allergy medicine?
No. Guanfazine is another form of like a ADHD.
Oh, okay.
It's like a low level. It's supposed to carry you throughout a few hours. So she takes that at the nighttime to help her sleep. And then it's now just only a few days worth taking of the Adderall. But it seems like it's bringing her back to because like physically, like, she doesn't want to shower, she doesn't want to brush her teeth, her room's a mess, her hair's a mess, the clothes she picks to wear are like too small, and just like bad choices.
Going through that with the kids, of just like, oh, there's a shirt that they really like, but they've clearly grown out of it and they don't want to give it up yet. But it's like,
well, she only tries
look
this,
like you
though.
got bigged. You gotta.
You look like you got hit by like a growth ray.
Yeah.
Just like dial it up like 2. But yeah, the positive of that is, for us, is I think we're on a better path that we've not had for a couple months now. So that is a good thing.
Hell yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat with in terms of like trying to nail down Adderall. Dosage is like Adderall the right one.
Yeah.
They bumped it up after my last appointment, and then I had to take a steroid for my back for a while. So I think they were like conflicting. So I got a couple weeks before I do another follow-up, because it's like, oh, like maybe I have to bump it back down. But it's like, oh, I'm also on this other medication now, so I should wait. I'm off that one now. So it's like, well, I've got 2 weeks left of just doing this dose. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, figuring it out.
Because what I was doing them both at the same time, I was too powerful. It's I'm out here agreeing to do vinyl releases of horror movie soundtracks. I'm applying to Fringe Festival. It's like, this is too much.
Oh no, it is awesome, sir. I mean, you also agreed to possibly come on in some capacity for this new movie that we're writing. So you're agreeing to a lot.
I genuinely, I'm not gonna like give it away on here, but I love the idea for the new one. Would love to be more involved, but let me. I got to finish the soundtrack stuff first, and then
I have to figure out. Which it's interesting. This will be conversation for another episode. Is collaboration, which you and I have not done except for Pup Date, but we like would edit a couple things, and like, or I'd write a tag or something or whatever, send it to you, and you'd be like, yeah, of course. Or if I was like, hey, can you change this or do a pass at this, you would do it. But for this script, because the main idea came from a friend of mine who is a novelist. Him and I had co-written one script that we tried to sell together, but that was definitely an assignment. Wasn't a like passion of like, okay, and now we're going to see this come to fruition as a film,
right?
Which is a completely different track. I'm really taking my time and like the writing and the brainstorming of being like, all right, if it's high concept, I still have to be very connected to the main characters, like once an emotional journey.
Sure.
Throughout this thing, that like, even though there's high comedy around it, like I can't like push that to the side. Like I can't just trudge through being like, well, yeah, I know the beginning, middle, and end, but like I have to be delicate. It's weird. I don't know why I'm precious when it comes to like that.
Because you're a weird little guy. I did. I think I mentioned last time I was waiting to hear back. I applied to the Scranton and Rochester Fringe Festivals. I found a venue, so I'll be at the Rochester one. We gotta like finalize dates and stuff, but that's happening.
Congratulations!
Now. It'll be the new hour. It is. I sold it as Glenn Tickle tries to be a person. That the image that we talked about last time, where I look like a smug genie. That's what I sent them with that pitch. And then
did you write in parentheses when you wrote the description at the bottom? You're like, I can't include any jokes, but I believe I look like a smug genie. That is not a joke. That
smug genie is.
Oh, Glenn Tickle, smug genie.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures
there's another show
I've posted that was using.
That's another like Cartoon Network show,
Smug
like
Genie.
smug like during Adult Swim, like Glenn Tickle is smug genie.
But yeah, I found out I gotta finalize stuff with them, but that's happening now, so that's exciting.
God, see all this good stuff that happens when you're focused and
when you actually like
an aloof.
I made the joke before. It's like like my whole career, I just kind of sit around waiting to get asked to do stuff, and it's been going better than it should. Like that shouldn't work as well as it does.
Yeah,
like I have to get better at like reaching out about stuff, which I have been the past few weeks, and goddamn if it doesn't work.
Hey, and again, kudos on the soundtrack, because it was one of those things where you're going through a company like it was with Troma, and I was just like, just let me take care of this. And on the
and it's out now. This will come out on Friday. It is in the world when people listen.
Oh yeah, people can.
If you're watching live, it's not yet. But
I know
pre-order it.
We've got quite a few pre-orders. When I say quite a few, it might be like 4. And different people on Spotify are just like, oh my gosh, can't wait to hear this. A couple people did screenshot the pre-order on Apple on iTunes. So very cool. And like you said, you are also putting together and managing the vinyl release, which again, I think there are a good handful of people that are anticipating that, me being one of them.
It'll be fun. That's on my list after this to finally get. I had to wait on that. The boring side of it of like paperwork from you to upload to the printer, and then we're good. So that'll be taken care of. Hopefully today. I'm home with a sick kid, so we'll see.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to.
I want that done before the digital one goes live.
Yeah, but if it doesn't happen, it's not.
That's the goal. I mean, if we'll see what happens, but I have to get it through. The idea is we're going to be making up a bunch of copies that you guys will be able to sell in person at events and screenings and stuff. But then also people can just order it on demand and get it sent right to them.
I think that sounds like the best.
That one's next, but I think it's the same process. I just have to do it on 2 different
platforms,
websites. So once I get everything ironed out on one, doing it on the second one should be pretty straightforward, but who knows? It's my first time doing a vinyl release, so I don't know. I've done digital and CDs for coming on a decade. I think
and
first
you did
a
beautiful job on that layout as well. I love how organized and clean that looks on the back.
That's
with the logos and everything.
You sent like a mock-up, and I just
made it better. Yeah,
I made it look like yours first, and then I changed some stuff.
Yeah. No, it was good. Good choices, and like I said, thank you immensely for making it happen. You are now in the world of, you always were somebody that makes things happen, but now with your superpowers, you are making all the things happen.
Yeah, I got to talk to Lloyd Kaufman on the phone.
Toxic
Avenger.
Did he introduce himself the way that I've said he does?
No, I was genuinely disappointed.
Maybe because he thought he already knew you. I don't know.
Maybe he knew. I think he knew I was calling because we were emailing. He was like, "Oh, call me during these times." And then you had another, because I figured it would be the 3 of us, and you're like, "Oh, I've got a thing."
Yeah.
He's like, okay, he wants me to call him, but he didn't give me his phone number. So if you have that, just give it to me. But he's like, "Oh, call between 12 and 2." So when I called at 12:01, he's like,
"I'm sure he loved that you're from." Kaufman. Oh, he didn't say, "Hello, Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment."
He said, "Hello, this is Lloyd Kaufman." And then we talked for about 5 minutes about the album and about 20 minutes about stuff that's not the album. But it's delighted to talk to you, Lloyd. Because again, my film professor in college always used Trauma as an example of like
The
these
other
are guys
end.
who can just get it done, right?
Yeah.
Like it might not be high art, but like that dude is putting out work, you know? You
Mhm.
can't argue with the results.
And that dude likes high art. Like
Yeah.
that dude doesn't just like, he isn't like, let's just make trash. Like he is fascinating to when he came out for the premiere and came over to I have to send you those photos. Came over to my parents' house for chili and spaghetti in Florence, Kentucky. That was wild with all my kids there because he wanted to take us out for dinner. And I was like, this is a weird request. We're like, if you're okay with it, it'd be way easier with my family, with the kids and everything. If we
it's like,
just
that's
went
a
to my
nice
parents'
thought,
house.
but honestly,
Yeah.
this it goes back.
That would be a
forever, but
hassle.
if you just come over.
If you're cool with it. And he was. And we just talked about just an array of different things, but like just old time. He had seen a couple weird film noir movies that I had also, like my dad and I had just watched, and he just brought up out of the ether, and we were just like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we just watched that too. That's crazy.
I forget what old movie we were talking about. Talked to him about my favorite jazz trumpeter, Kenny Dorham, for a little bit.
Oh yeah, because he's a flute player.
Seems like a great guy. But yeah, I got to get the vinyl stuff over to him and his partners at Trauma for like
and that's
final approval.
For final approval. Oh yeah. That'll be fun to see how long that takes to hear about that. But anyway, it was a long way of saying before of I am still in the infancy of nailing down the tone of the next film before I think I want anybody, even Eric Hunter, who came up with the initial idea, before he even comes back in the fold. Because I can see it, and I just need to nail down the basic wants and needs of a main character for a female teenage girl that will be played by probably a woman in her late 30s, early 40s. Have to do that before anybody else comes in on this weird, very tonally specific movie. And I don't know if I'm good at collaborating, so we'll see how that goes.
Seems rad. I like the idea a lot.
Thanks.
But yeah, we're gonna where's the outro? No, it's the wrong one.
I forgot that one.
There it is.
It's the Daddy-O Show.
This is what happens when